got Patrick McDavid in, Valuetainment, all kinds of stuff going on. I could be here forever. And Harvard. Got some stuff with Harvard University. Thank you so much for your time. It's an honor.
It's good to be here, man. You do a great job, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. We were talking about Tupac and Biggie
Yes.
and all that craziness and all the different stories.
And who we trust the least that could be behind the whole Tupac and Biggie, being taken out.
I still say P. Diddy, and I'll say it again. I said it with Greg. I said it with the other guy, with everybody. But I guess we'll never know.
The challenge with being overly ambitious with willing to compromise any values and principles, that is a dangerous combination. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with being overly ambitious. Nothing wrong. If you have certain set of values and principles, you won't compromise. But if it's highly ambitious with I'm willing to compromise anything is possible. That's kind of Diddy.
And it was crazy then, too. I'm surprised he didn't go after Suge. That's the one who I would have been afraid of.
I'm surprised Suge didn't go and wrap it up. Like, that was the biggest thing for me. I'm like, if you're in that world and you don't show your strength, to me, you're seeing weak. Unless if you were in on it with that, because you also benefited because Tupac wanted to go and do his own deal. I mean, there's a lot of different connecting of the dots.
Yeah.
I will tell you, one time I'm on a flight from L.A. to Burbank, from Burbank to Vegas, and Suge's on the flight, okay? And he's on the flight, and I see this 55-year-old, 60-year-old lady. They're sitting right next to me, so I can hear the conversation. She moves, and she comes next to him. Hey, Suge, you want to go to the back? She's like, what do you mean you want to go to the back? Hey, let's just go to the back. It's an empty flight. It's just us. It's a Southwest Airlines flight. It's like, do you realize how old I am? I don't have the kind of energy I did before. And I could hear this. And I'm like, really? 55-year-olds? Everybody, there was something about, an infatuation with even Suge. How he would go on Kimmel's show, put up his feet. He's got a lot of stories.
And a lot of people that know him personally, they said there's two parts of him. He's a really nice guy, but then there's like that street guy to him.
And I think that's typical of the great ones, right? Because, Too Short, he says, when he used to hang out with Pac all the time, he says, 1 minute, he's the guy, let's go get the girls, let's go do this. Next minute, he's a revolutionary. Next minute, he's, the community organizer. Let's go up again. Next minute, he's the, he says, when I went in and hung out with Pac, anytime I went in, for the first 5 minutes, I just wanted to know which Pac was there today. And then I adjusted to him. This is what Too Short was talking about. But I can say that about a lot of different people. Sometimes you're going, you're dealing with complicated personalities. They're typically attractive because we are enamored with them and we want to figure them out, but it's not easy to figure them out. That's part of the attraction. It's like a girl who's with a guy who, she dated a bad boy. And she's like, I'm, sick of dating these guys. They're always with different girls. And then she gets with a safe guy. And she's like, oh, my God, I'm so bored out of my freaking mind. I miss the other guy. Then she meets a guy that she thinks she has him, but she feels like she's about to lose him. And 1 minute he's sweet. Next minute he's like, who is this guy? But, dude, I am so interested because I can't freaking figure this person out, right? I think that goes in relationship. That goes in personalities. That goes in us being enamored by certain people, and Pac and Suge were definitely two of those names.
Absolutely. And then you wrote this book, and I was looking through it. I mean, and bestseller on Wall. I mean, man, you're making moves. Now, what made you write this, and what a time to really bring this up? Your next 5 moves. Because you got the 10,000. The other ones that were great, but this is more modern.
Yes.
So tell everybody a little bit about this and what made you do it, and how many pages was it to begin with, and how if you have to cut it down, you always write it and there's 10 gazillion pages and then you got to chop it.
Yeah. So the whole concept behind Your Next 5 Moves. Originally, the name of the title was going to be Your Next 15 Moves, because to me, the whole idea with chess masters, right? You got the grand chess master that knows, the grandmaster that knows the 10 or 15 moves is what they typically talk about. The master knows their next 5 to 10 moves. The pro knows their next 5 moves. The amateur knows 3 to 5 moves. And the guy that has no clue what he's doing, he has no clue what he's doing next. He just kind of, the same goes with life, with business. One day I woke up and I'm 23 years old. It's 6:30 in the morning. My mother called me the night before late saying, what happened to my old son that used to call me and this and this and that, a little bit of the guilt factor. My girl called me and texted me in the morning saying, hey, I don't think this is working out. You care more about your business than you do about me. My number one client that I was about to get a nice fat check canceled on me. I'm 23, 24. And my number one producer that was doing very well for me is resigning to go to a competitor, okay? All of this happened in the morning. I have no clue what I need to do next. So in my mind, I'm thinking, what's my next move? Do I call my mom next and tell her mom and take her out and, relieve the guilt? But that's going to be there a week from now, too. Moms are always going to have. That's natural, right? So, okay, I'm never going to fix that. So let me see what I can fix right now. Do I call my girl and compromise my vision and drop my business and say, you're more important than my vision and my dreams? But I can't do that. I got a big vision. I'm not going to compromise that. Do I call the client first? Do I call the agent first? Anyways, in those moments, those I believe that win at the highest level, they know sequencing better than others. Marriage is all about sequencing. Do I date the girl that I meet on Tinder or Bumble, or do I go to a community and stay there and meet some of the people and then see that girl that I have a history with? Do I date the girl that my friend recommended me on a blind date because I know him and he knows her for 18 years? Do I date the girl to the work? Okay, then when I do, what do I do next? Do I spoil her first? Do I go show the world? Do we travel to Europe? Do I do that too early? Do I take her to a fight? All of these thoughts that you have, right? One guy's going to be like, oh my God, I got all this money, so let me just give it to her. Here's a gift. Here's a Louis bag. Here's a Chanel. Here's a this. I'm like, yeah, those things don't work. So when my wife and I got married, at first, on our second date, I bought her a book. It was called 101 Questions to Ask Before You Get Engaged. Second date. People are like, this guy's crazy.
If I was your friend, I would have been, Pat, you might want to wait for that one for a little bit.
But, at that time, I was talking to 3 other girls. I had already played. I had my fun. It's not like I'm going to miss out on anything. And I knew I'm going to go build businesses. That's what my passion is. I said, if this book scares you, I totally get it. I'm doing the same exercise with 3 other girls. So please understand. I understand it's crazy. She's like, no, cool. I said, great. So she went, and a week later, we went through the questionnaire. I had done it with 3 other girls. One of them I knew we were not going to do because we were not going to have the same amount of kids. Another one had to do with faith and how we're going to raise our kids. Another one was a different issue that we had. And then finally, I'm like, okay, this 6-hour conversation we had with the questionnaire, let's see what happens. I didn't buy her anything crazy. Then she went through a challenging time financially. I was waiting to see if she's going to ask me for my money to pay for her bills. She didn't. That was a big flag for me because everybody knew I had money at the time. So it's like, hey, let me see. Why don't you pay my rent? Why don't you pay my rent? She didn't. I said, this is good. Then eventually, we got married. We had our kids. And then my first 7 years of marriage, I only bought her Coach purses. And she's like,
what is this?
What is this? I said, I'm not buying you Louis or Chanel. I'm like, Coach. Anyways, long story short, I said, I'll get you a Chanel on our third baby. Third baby, she got a Chanel. And then we rented a home. And then eventually I bought a $25 million home. And now, hey, every time, what do you want to do now? I want this. I want, no problem. Because you gave me, I'm going to give you the world. So it's all sequencing versus the other way around. You overly spoil at the beginning, and it's never going to get better than that. So your next 5 moves, it's a philosophy for business, for life, for relationships, for finances, for investments, for when to start your podcast, for when to start your side gig, for when to do your side hustles, for when to quit your job to start your business. If the individual listening to this or watching this looked at every single thing he or she is about to do based on a strategic next 5, 10, 15 moves, and they actually on a piece of paper write out the sequence, they would get so much better results. So the whole concept of this book is sequencing.
And then once you read it, how do you, you can read it, you could take it in and agree with it, obviously. But how do you rewire your brain? Because say you're 25, even 30, and you go meet a girl, and just by nature, you want to pick them up in that Mercedes, you want to take them out to the best dinner. But like what you did, you got the Coach, you didn't do anything, no Chanel till later, and their friends have this, why don't you have that? How do you rewire your brain where, hey, I'm secure with myself. If she's not good with that. This episode is brought to you by Manscaped.com. Breaking news, Manscaped now sells beard products. That's right. They are once again revolutionizing men's grooming with brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. From a beard trim to a fresh shave, the technology behind Beard Hedger Pro Kit allows you to shave your signature beard look. Now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com and using code mscsmedia for 20% off and free shipping. No one likes a weird beard, so say goodbye to all the stubble trouble with Manscaped's Pro Beard Kit. It all starts with the Beard Hedger. This thing is a monster of fixing faces. First off, this cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard. No more messing around in drawers, this color one, that color one, all with one guard. Plus, it's waterproof, so you can shave in the shower and avoid all that hair in the sink. The Pro Kit doesn't end there, though. First, there's the beard shampoo and conditioner. You need to remember your hair is different. Next, Manscaped's beard oil. Cap it off with beard balm. The Pro Kit also comes with 3 different gifts: a beard brush, comb, and scissors to ensure your beard is ready to impress. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code mscsmedia at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code mscsmedia. Manscaped Beard Hedger, 1 stroke, 1 guard, 20 lengths. Link is in the description below. This episode is sponsored by ZBiotics. What is ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic? The ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic is a genetically engineered probiotic you drink before drinking alcohol to avoid that rough next morning and get back to living your life. PhD scientists invented it because they know the real problem is not dehydration. It's a toxic byproduct of alcohol, and ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic is the only product that breaks it down. Just remember to drink responsibly and plenty of rest too. Every time I have ZBiotics before drinking, I'm amazed at how good I feel the next day. ZBiotics is a must-have for me because it means I'm still going to make my daily workout even if I have a few drinks the night before. That's important to me. You can get ZBiotics for 15% off your first order using my code MSCSmedia at checkout. I recommend getting the 6-pack. That's what I got. It's a great deal. You have a couple extra to share with friends. Go to zbiotics.com/MSCSmedia. That's Z as in zebra, biotics, BIOTICS.com/MSCSmedia, or scan the QR code on the screen right now and get 15% off your first order. You will not be sorry. Link is in the description below. Let her go, even though I think in my mind that this is the one.
It's not easy to do. I'm going to tell you that because I was the Vegas guy, 26 times a year when I lived in LA, and you're going to the nightclubs in LA, Key Club and Garden of Eden and Century Club and Dublin's and this and the Saddle Ranch on Sundays. And I'm that guy. It's like, hey, let's go out. What do you want to do? But the outcome with girls at the time wasn't, I'm not trying to have a family with you. I'm not trying to have kids with you, man. I don't care what. Let's just go have fun. Yeah, let's go hang out. You want to go to your place, my place, to the expedition, to the back of the car? What do you want to do? The relationship is very transparent. Hey, do you like me? Absolutely, I like you. Not as a girlfriend. And I'll be very straight up with you. If you want to have a serious relationship, I'm the wrong guy because I'm never going to get there with you. I already know it. But I find you physically very attractive. I like you a lot. I think we can have a lot of fun together and we can have a private relationship, but it's not public. If you're cool with that, let's go have a good time. If you're not, totally get it. And you'd be amazed how many times people are like, nobody talks to me like that. And it's straight up versus faking it and lying and doing this. And I don't want those types of headaches. It's a lot of headaches to have. So it is not an easy thing to do. But the biggest thing, Tommy, is you have to know exactly what you want in life and who you want to be and the type of life you want to live. Meaning, my wife and I, before we get married, I said, I want to go see marriage counselors and therapists, okay, to get as much counsel as we can. So we started going to therapy. And this one guy recommends a guy from the church. So we go to this guy, nice guy. And he says, oh, tell me about your story, how you guys met and all this stuff. I said, yeah, definitely. I'd tell the story. And I said, listen, before we get started, what do you think are the 3 key success? How long have you been married? 33 years. What do you think are the key successes to marriage? And she says, oh, number 1 rule for us is having dinner every night at 6 o'clock at the house, no matter what. We've done that for 30 years. And I'm like, what do you do for a living? I'm a school teacher. What does your husband do your wife do for a living? She's a school teacher. I said, this is fantastic. I said, you know what? Thank you so much for that counsel. That was amazing. I shook his hand, gave him the $200. We walked out 10 minutes into it. It was a 1-hour session. Jennifer's uncomfortable. She's like, what are we doing, babe? I said, babe, we got it. She said, is everything wrong? Did I say something? I said, you said nothing wrong. But we have to go. Thank you. This was very helpful. We get in the car. Can I ask you why we left? I said, first of all, babe, I run a business. You run a business. The likelihood of me being at the house every night at 6 o'clock to have dinner, I will never be able to succeed in that because that's just not going to happen with me. I'm not trying to live that life. If your key to success is to have dinner every night at 6 o'clock, you got to find a different man. I'm not that guy. I'm trying to take over the world. I'm not trying to live that. And I knew myself. So people say, well, that's cocky, that's arrogant. Who do you think you are? You're right. It may sound like that to that person, but I'm telling you, I want to go after this. I was 29 when I was telling her this, and this is 15 years ago. So she says, I said, you have to really think about this yourself. And she says, no, I'm good with that. I said, great. Then let's talk to somebody that is in our world. So then she goes and we meet with the senior pastor, who's a guy that runs a church of 20,000 members. Look what his wife says. She says, you sure you want to marry Patrick? She says, what do you mean? You sure you want to marry Patrick? Do you know what it comes with? Watch the advice she gives. I don't even have a relationship with this lady. But she says, do you understand? Are you cool with sharing him with the world? Because that's what I have to do with my husband. Everybody in church wants to talk to him. If issues going on, they want to talk to him. Divorce, if this, if that, if this. Hey, I need help with this. I need to pray for this. I need to go speak over here. Do you want to do that? It's not everybody's job. It's not easy to do. Do you understand that late night he may be on a call with somebody for an hour and a half while you guys got plans? Do you understand that at dinner he may step away? It's not the easiest decision you're making to be with Patrick. Anyways, some days he's going to come. He's going to be angry because he had a bad day and things didn't go his way. How are you going to handle that? Some days. So then I'm like, phenomenal. Let's get as close to this lady as possible because that's who you are marrying, okay? Someone will say, well, man, I'd love to be married to you. No, you wouldn't. I'm telling you, you would not. So it goes back to, Tommy, most important question to ask. Who do you want to be? What kind of a life do you want to live? Are you really saying that? Are you just selling it because it sounds good? You know how a lot of us talk a big game? And I'm going to kick your ass if you say that. No, you're not. You're not a fighter, you know. Let me tell you what I'm going to do if you do this. You're not. What are you going to do, really? I'm going to go out and work my ass off and build a big-ass business. Are you, though, dude? You smoke weed 4 hours a day. You party 4 days a week. You can't stand reading books. You distracted half the time. You're spending money gambling. The way you're living right now is not aligned with your vision. So either change the way you're living to match your vision or lower your vision to manage expectation with the way you're living. Because if you don't do that, you know, you're going to be another bitter person who's going to be disappointed with the results in life. And you're going to blame your parents. You're going to blame the government. You're going to blame somebody. You're going to blame a spouse, an ex, a this, or that. No, it's on you. You did not know the life you wanted to live, and you did not know who you wanted to be. That's the step number one. Move number one is identifying that part. When I did that, I felt like, by the way, it's very scary because one of the questions is, hey, who do you get along with? What types of personalities do you get along with? X, Y, Z. The tough question is what? What types of personalities do you not get along with? Why not? Oh, shit, they're kind of like you. Oh, that's why. Wow, that's kind of tough. So the people you don't get along with is people like yourself. Do you like yourself? If you don't like them, do you even like you? Dude, do you have trust in yourself? Do you believe you're capable of? Have you disappointed yourself one too many times? We got to first work on developing confidence. Is this a real person? Is this not? These are the things that I started off with at 23, 24 at Matador Beach by Zuma in LA. I sat there all day on this one day, and I'm going through these 83-something questions. And I'm like, okay, do you really want to do this? Dude, it's a lot easier if you just go back in the Army and do 20 years. So I've done 2.5 years. Just go back. No one's going to know you quit. Go back and do 20 years. They're going to tell you when to eat. They're going to tell you where to go. They're going to ship you where they want. You're going to have to take all the shots. You're going to have to do whatever, your government property for 20 years. But in return, they're going to give you a place to live. They're going to give you health care. They're going to give you this. They're going to give you a pension when you retire, 50%. You're going to see the world. It's a lot safer life. Go back in the Army. And this was the argument, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then that's the part that's kind of scary. It's like, dude, you know what? I'm going to freaking go for it. Holy shit, here we go. And then you fail, doubt. It's not easy. So it's very hard. It's very scary.
I love that part because the divorce rate keeps going up and up and up. And I think you bring that out, that's the problem. You meet that girl, you think she's beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And then you settle for maybe what she wants or stop your dreams or don't even take the time to take a look at yourself. And then that portrays into your future of success and everything else. Because if you're there and you have a girl saying, hey, it's 7 o'clock, you're not home. Well, you know, you're trying to work while everybody else is sleeping to get ahead. It's never going to work. You're just driving yourself into a wall.
Yeah, it's not easy. But you know what is easy is what we don't do enough of. I've had a lot of conflicts with friendships, relationships, women I dated, business associates, investors. I've had a lot of conflicts. And when I have these conflicts, it's very easy to say it was her, it's this, it's that. I finally realized the number one mistake I've made, and I think a lot of us make, but I'm going to speak for myself, is not managing expectations upfront, all upfront, okay? So if I sign you as a talent to come to Valuetainment, hey, we're going to bring him on the Valuetainment. He's going to be one of our talents. He's a great interview. I think you're going to blow out. Let's bring you in. Okay. What are the terms? What's the structure? What are we doing with sponsorship? How often is the Valuetainment logo going to be there? What are you going to drive the products to? What's going to be in the description, right? How are we going to promote you? What are we going to drive to you? Are we going to go and find your sponsors? If we do, what is the sponsorship? 50-50. Hey, we got you a sponsor from Ford. They're going to pay $100,000. The sales guy makes 20%. You're going to get half of the whatever's left. So if it's $100,000, 20%, they take 20, 80 is left, 40 to you, 40 to us. That's how we're going to. The more I do that up front, what are we going to argue about, you and I? We're not. Because it's all been managed versus, man, I'm excited. I don't know what we're going to do. Let's just figure it out. No. So marriage, I'll give you, again, since we talked about this relationship-wise, I'm a big nuptial agreement guy. I think people make mistakes not having it in place. Mm-hmm. One day, my wife and I, we go shopping, and she calls me. She has a family crisis that takes place, and they want us to pay for the funeral. So I said, is everybody chipping in money? Well, yeah, of course they're chipping in money. Okay. So what do we want to do? Well, babe, why don't we first pay for the plot, but everyone's going to chip in and we're going to get some money back. So I paid for it. And then nobody paid anything back.
I was just going to say, how much did he get back?
And we need a little bit more, but they're all going to chip in $100, $200. We did the whole thing. Nobody paid anything back. I'm at the funeral and I'm looking at everybody, and I'm on the outside, I'm acting. You know, it's like, hey, totally get it. But on the inside, I'm like, this is not my relative. This is your relative. Why is 200 people at this funeral related to this person that just passed away who didn't pay a penny to this funeral? So is this what's going to happen every time there's an issue in your family that I have to pay for because they know we have money? This could lead to a divorce and an argument. I don't want to do that. So guess what? We're going to talk about this on the drive back. Here's how we're going to fix this. What's that? Moving forward, I don't think you should ask me what to do in situations like this. I think you need to make the decision yourself without asking me. Where are you going with this, babe? So here's what we're going to have, babe. We're going to have 3 accounts. Our account, my account, your account. If you want to buy me a gift for my birthday, you're going to buy it from your account. If I'm buying you a gift for your birthday, I'm buying it from my account because I'm going to feel it that you're using your money to buy me a gift. I'm going to like that. Anything we do for our family, kids, me, you, our kids comes out of our account, okay? Private school, food, travel, private, all this is coming out of here. If somebody in your family passes away, your money. If you want to buy a purse for no reason, that's $2,400, your money. She says, you really want to? I said, I really want to do it. So I think that's a great idea. So we set it up. We got the lawyers, everybody up. We set it up. Great. So we go to Vegas. This could have been 5 or 6 years ago. So we go to Vegas. She goes in. She says, can I try on that blue Louis Vuitton purse? Yeah. Babe, I like it. What do you think? I like it too. Can I also see the other one? Yeah. And she, baby, what do you like? I think it's nice. I'm going to get both. And I go like this. I'll never forget this. I said, you're going to get both? She says, yes. I said, okay, go. You know what she does? She takes out her card. And she gives me the look with a smile. I said, this is exactly why I did it, babe. She says, babe, this is why I like it. It's a great idea.
It is.
Because she doesn't feel guilty. I don't feel guilty. If you look at every one of your relationships that didn't work out, I guarantee you we can go back and know that at the beginning, we did not manage expectations. And we dropped the ball. And later on, we had a guy, one of my good friends. Every time I would see him, he would be so bitter, miserable. married 20 years. Like, why are you so bitter? I don't understand why you're so bitter. What is, so one day I take him out. I said, dude, can I ask you a question? What's bothering you? Like, what's eating Gilbert grape? What's bothering you? Why are you like this? There's like, I see pain in your eyes. He says, you really want to know? I said, I really want to know. He says, well, you know my wife. I said, of course I know your wife. We've been married 20 years. Yeah. Here's one thing nobody knows about. He says, I wanted 3 kids. I said, and? She wanted 0 kids. I said, so? He says, well, I never found out after we got married. Think about marrying somebody and not asking how many kids you want to have. If they would have asked the question, they would have never gotten married. So for 20 years, he's been bitter because he wants kids and she doesn't. She got what she wanted. He did not get what he wants. He's now 50 years old, miserable because they didn't manage expectations up front. Every one of my relationship conflicts in my life has been because I did not manage expectations up front.
I love it. I love the 3 accounts. That way they can't say, you bought this? Yeah, I bought it with my account.
That's right.
I bought the car with my account.
Right.
Oh, you want 7 shoes and empty your account? All right, go ahead. When it's empty, go for it. Right.
These are the books. Like your book should actually be in high schools. Like instead of the shit that they teach, the stuff that they teach, this should be reading material for adolescents that are growing up and they're going to hit the real world. It can help in some of the stuff they learn now.
Well, just that alone, let's just hypothetically, you're in 11th grade, and instead of God knows what they're teaching now, you just go through 10% of what you said and teach a male and a female, talk to your partner. That lessens the divorce rate, more successful people, so on and so forth, and less stress, less drug use, less, the whole 9. And just the way you took it, that was good, Pat.
I got a question for you. So, and I have a 16-year-old today. Today's his 16th birthday.
Happy birthday.
I got a 13-year-old. My kids, I've raised them to be hard workers. You work hard for what you want, and you put in what you're going to get. It seems more and more nowadays, graduate from college, if you go to college, if you don't go to college. And I had to work my way up the food chain, let's say, right? Kids get this degree, and they come in and they go, I should be making $100,000 a year. And you're like, there may be some very slim percent of the people out there that they're just that talented, naturally talented, and they could get to that right off the bat. But everybody nowadays just wants to come in and start right at the top. What's your message to like the youth, I guess, of the nation? How to be successful, to see you the pinnacle that you're at, how to get there?
Well, I mean, whose fault is that, right? Let's talk about that, because is that the expectation set by parents? I don't know if it's parents. Is that the expectation set by colleges and universities when they come out? Is it the counselor? Is it the college? Is it peers? Is it companies? Who set that expectation? Is it the market? Is it, you're worth more? Is it all this stuff without the work? All of this is a part of either cultural issues, societal issues, parental issues, college education issues. Nowadays, I'll give you some stats to be thinking about, and then I'll give you currency with your 16-year-old and the 13-year-old that's worked for us, that maybe work with some others as well. So here's a problem. They did a study on teachers in America, public schools, K through 12, based on who they gave money to politically to see what percentage of teachers are Democrats and Republicans. You ready for this? So English teachers, 97% of English teachers, K through 12, Democrat, who they gave their money to, high school. Then they said, let's go look at health. Health teachers, 99% they gave to Democrat, 1% Republican. Then they said, okay, how about math and science? 87% Democrat, 13% Republican, because there needs to be some logic and reasoning behind it. So 13% of the teachers are Republican, 87% are Democrat. So we send our kids to school and they hang out with these guys. And what do you think they're telling them? You think they're saying capitalism? You think they're saying Elon Musk is a good guy or an evil guy? Probably an evil guy. Bezos is probably evil. Capitalism is probably evil. Rich people are evil. Innovators are evil. Military is evil. All these things that they say that, are evil, okay? And these are folks that, in my opinion, the top 10% of teachers are underpaid. They should get paid $150,000 a year. I think the bottom 30% should be fired and open up those job positions to give to veterans to come in who have given 20 years. They should do the job of the bottom 30% of terrible teachers. There's plenty of veterans that can do that. Those guys got to go to a different place and figure out a different job. And then, everybody else kind of go out there and do your best to be in the top 10%. Now, with us, with our kids, we got 4 of them. I got an 11, 9, a 6, and a 21-month-old baby. Okay?
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you. So in our house, when you turn 6 years old, you have to read 20 pages every day. It doesn't matter if it's Sunday. It doesn't matter if it's Christmas, we're on the road. It doesn't matter if we're on vacation. Every day you have to read 20 pages. That is our currency. If you don't read, you can't negotiate and ask for things. If you do read, you can ask for TV, you can ask for iPad on the weekends, but you cannot if you don't have certain, things that you do with reading. So our kids read. The other day, here's what happened. I was watching a lot of the books they were reading. It's by Who HQ, and I noticed some of these Who HQ books are owned by Penguin. They put subtle mindsets of the left in there. And for me, I'm a capitalist. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a center-right guy. I'm conservative when it comes down to fiscally. Pretty much stay out of my life and let me do what I'm doing. Don't impose on my kids. Let my kids be raised on strong values and principles. I believe a country built on a strong value and principles going to do better. So it's going to be a better society, raise your kids, safer place, all those things. Okay, fine. So this publisher that I want to buy, before I buy their company, they got real good books. They send it to me and said, first read the book before we negotiate. I said, sure, no problem. Send me the books. They send me their 13 books. I bring it home. I give it to my kids. I said, Tico, I need you to read these books. And he says, okay, boom. He devours them. One of the books he reads last is the story of a guy named Thomas Sowell, who is the best living economist alive today. He's in his 90s. He was a Milton Friedman guy. Absolutely incredible economist, Thomas Sowell. So he reads the book. After he reads the book, he comes to me and says, Daddy, I got to go out. I said, what do you mean you got to go out? I got to go knock on doors. I got to make some money. I said, what? He said, I got to make some money.
Love it.
I said, so I still can't put the two dots together to connect the dots and why this is happening. So he says, I said, what do you want to do? He says, I don't know. I'm going to go knock on doors and see if anybody needs me to do anything. I said, what are you going to do? He says, Dad, I don't know. Walk the dogs, clean the backyard, clean the house, anything. So this is kind of weird to me because I can't take credit for this because I've never told him to do that, even though I'm the business guy. So he goes out. Him, his brother, the 9-year-old, and the 6-year-old are gone for 2 hours. They come back. Everybody said no to them when they knocked on the doors. Cool. I forgot about it. Sunday morning, Dad, we're going out again. We're going out again. We have to knock on doors. So they go out and knock on doors again. All of a sudden, we get a call because they said, can you call our mom and dad? So this lady calls us. We don't know who she is. She says, hey, are these your kids? How many? 3 of them. Patrick, Dylan, Senna? Yes. Yes, those are our kids. Hey, are you guys okay? I don't want to do this unless if you're not okay with it. I need them to walk my dog. She's a 60-year-old lady. Are you okay if they walk my dogs? I said, sure. So she says, great. So they walk her dogs for an hour and a half. Hour and a half later, they come back with a $20 bill.
How great is that?
Oh, dude, you don't even know how I felt when I saw it. Dude, they bring this $20 bill. I take pictures with it. I said, every dollar you make, I'm going to match it and give you whatever you make. So they made 40. I said, give me the first 20. I'm framing it right now, the $2 bill in the middle, the picture of them with their first $20 bill, the book they read, because I found that it's all because of this book by Thomas Sowell and a quote and a signature by Daddy on the bottom. It was such an awesome moment. And I told them in that moment, I said, guys, you know what you officially learned? They said, what? I said, did you make this $20 because one of my friends did you a favor? No. Did you make this $20 because one of our relatives? But no. Do I know this lady? No. You just prove to yourself that you will never starve for the rest of your life. Yep. This is a monumental moment in your life. Okay? So, but the credit goes, the book they read, these kids read it, then from there, boom, one kid wants to execute, they go make the money, now they're entrepreneurs. So I'm very concerned with what we're doing today. Professors in colleges, for every one conservative professor, there's 13 liberals. It's a monopoly that we have in America today. If you send your kids to school today and spend $200,000, right now it's $83,000 a year average, national average to send your kids to a school where they live on the campus. 83 grand a year. So you do 4 years, it's what, 320, give or take, right? But let's just say you're sending your kids to college and they love you at first. Every year they come back saying, I can't believe you're so greedy, Daddy. I used to love you. I can't believe this is what you stand. I can't believe this. So let me get this straight. I'm paying $320,000 to lose my kids for 10 years. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. So it's pathetic, and I think this is why I'm highly recommending everybody out there that I come across of, if you don't have a lot of money, figure out a way to make some money to send your kids to a private school. Take them in, send them to a private school that's teaching the right values and principles. You cannot risk your kids being in public school in this society today. And by the way, today's public school is not the public school that you and I went to. It's not the same. No. Okay? It is not the public school that you and I went to. Because a lot of people will say, you and I will say the famous line. You know what the line is? I'm a product of public schools and I turned out okay. It's not the same public school. It's a different public school. So I don't know if that answers your question for you, but those are some of the things that I see that society is changing, and we have to be a little bit more involved, or else we may lose our kids for a couple decades.
Yeah, and I think too, like I always say, my parents, my dad's 83, my mom's 76. They're old parents, right? I was a young parent. I was 21 when I had my first. So I take the values my older parents taught me. I went to Catholic school. I use those, to teach my kids. I just think nowadays parents want to be their kid's best friend instead of being their parent and showing them what you're supposed to do in life and leading the right way instead of saying, yeah, if you want to smoke a joint, go ahead. If you don't want to go to school today, it's okay. And that's one of the issues I see too. I mean, it's very sad.
And back to public school, I almost fell over when he told me. They took wood shop out. Remember when we were in school, you had wood shop. You kind of learned how to be a man. Art class, everything else. I always say this. My grandfather was this big. He was big, taller than you. I didn't get the height. And my mom would scream and yell. Now you probably would get arrested. If I didn't catch 100 footballs out back in the snow in a wife beater because I was playing football, because, if I could catch 100 in the snow, then I had pads on when it was cold. The other guys had heat warmers on. Didn't bother me.
No brainer, yeah.
But you're not going in and watching TV or eating until you're done. Foul shots, 100, you're not going in. My mom would be screaming, and nowadays you would get arrested for it, and that's all gone. Pull up tab 3. You have a great thing on LinkedIn that's unbelievable. And I still cannot believe they took wood shop out. This is a great quote. The biggest danger to society is a weak man in position of power. They don't just break things, they destroy things. Nations, riches, and wealth, and a great family heritage. I mean, that's excellent. If you could elaborate a little bit on that, because, the way things are right now, this needs to be everywhere.
Yeah. No, exactly with your grandfather, right? Or your 83-year-old and your 76-year-old mother, right? That's challenging you when you're younger. But the word guilt is what comes up. So, for example, you know what the saying when parents say, well, listen, I want to work so hard to be so rich that my kids don't have to go through what I went through. Why would you take that away from them? What makes you think you became who you became without taking that away from you? You think you become who you could become without the grandfather that challenges you to go out there and catch 100 balls a day or make 100 balls a day in the snow and your wife? No. So I'm talking to this guy who's a family planning guy out of Seattle. So Seattle, there's a lot of billionaires because there's Microsoft. There's a bunch of different companies. I even believe Amazon is out of Seattle, I think. So Seattle's got all these billionaires and hectomillionaires and decamillionaires. So the most common thing that happens in Seattle is what? A lot of these parents make the money, the kids become drug addicts, and then they lose them, and now they don't know how to save them, right? So I sit down with him. He's managed a couple different families, one of them being the Franklin Templeton family. It's a $5 billion family, and he's telling the story. So he says, I got permission from the family to tell the story. He's told the story. There's like 16 grandkids, and he says, Pat, by the time they come to me, I can't do anything. I can't do nothing with these guys. It's already too late because the parents got them everything. They did them favors to get straight A's. They did them favors to get into colleges. They gave money as a booster to go into this. They had exotics, Ferraris, Lambos early on. They take the private jet to go to Vegas and come back as if it's nothing. It's a $100,000 bill. If you're a billionaire family, nobody even feels it. They go to Europe on a private jet with $400,000 a private jet bill. And it's so hard for me to do anything. These guys are all alcoholics. They're drug addicts. They're this, they're that. Okay, great. a book I read called The Ultimate Gift by Jim Stovall 20 years ago. Phenomenal book, like 96 pages. And it's a story about a guy that moves to Texas and works for this guy on this farm or this land, and the guy dies, and he leaves the land to the worker because he was his best worker, okay? Well, he's like, well, thank you. Didn't have any kids. It kind of says, hey, I want you to take over my property when I die. In his estate, he leaves it to the guy. Well, 5 years later, they don't realize there's oil there. And this guy becomes a billionaire, $2.3 billion guy. And when he dies, he shoots a video that the day he plays that video is being played because he's dead. So the video is for his ex-wife, for his kids, for his this, for his that. So anyways, his best friend is his lawyer, and the day comes when he dies. And everybody shows up. They're excited. The wife is with 2 young boyfriends, and the daughter is with this, and the guy, all these guys are showing up. They're like, am I going to get the houses? Am I going to get the cars? Am I going to get the company? Am I going to get the land? Am I going to get this? So video plays. He says, well, if you're watching this video, it's because I'm dead. And he says, if I'm looking around the room right now, I'm assuming you guys are probably smiling. Well, let me tell you what's going to be happening. Anyways, you know, I'm going to butcher some of these things, but he says, you're going to get the real estate portfolio of $600 million. But my real estate manager has more decision-making process than you do. You don't say nothing. It's just yours, and God willing, one day it goes to your kids. My wife, you're going to get the stock portfolio, but you don't get to say anything. You and your boyfriends or whatever, he takes the shot. My kids is this. So he's going through all this stuff. It's an incredible scene, right? And then he says, however, if my nephew, let's call him John, is here, John, I don't have anything for you. What I have for you is the ultimate gift. And John is getting rowdy, upset, angry. He says, you're probably upset right now because you're saying, why did everybody get something and I didn't? Well, son, I'm here to tell you, everybody here is done. They can't be saved. It's too late. You, I didn't spoil. You're the only one that can be saved. Here's what the ultimate gift is. If you are willing to receive the ultimate gift, you're not going to get it in 12 months. Mm-hmm. Every month you can come and see my lawyer. He's going to play a video that's only for you. And it's going to be an assignment for you. 12 months later, my lawyer is going to give you the ultimate gift. But if you want it, it's going to take 12 months. He says, you're probably going to run out, and you're going to say you're not going to come. But if you do want to do it, I'll see you Monday morning at the lawyer's office.
That's great.
Sick, right? Anyway, so the nephew comes in after not wanting to come in, and he realizes that whole thing that he taught him in 12 months is what he learned as a kid that helped him become a billionaire. In life, sometimes we're feeling too guilty for having our kids having to pay a price. Just because you have the money and you have the luxury, you're making it easy on them. Oh, don't worry about it. I got you. Oh, don't worry. You don't have to work. Oh, don't worry about this. Oh, don't worry. No. Worry about it. Go through it. Challenge them. Kick their ass. The only thing that they're going to want is they just want to make sure you love them and you believe in them. So one of the mentors of my life taught me something on how he gave papaws to his kid. Very interesting the way he said it. He said, one of the hardest things to do is to discipline my kids, but this is how I would do it. I would sit him down. I'd say, do you know why you're about to be disciplined? Here's why I'm doing it. What are we going to change about it? So he would discipline him. Then afterwards, he would hug him. He would kiss him. He would cry. He would tell him how much he loves him. He says, it's not going to make sense right now. One day it's going to make sense to you. We have to develop stronger people. We're not doing it today. Unfortunately, a couple things happen. If we don't, we get these weak men in power that don't have a backbone. They're willing to be bought. Everything is for sale. Everything is for sale. It doesn't matter what it is. Everything is for sale. The reputation of the country, the reputation of our finances, anything you want to do, I am for sale, right? And when that happens, it doesn't affect one person. It doesn't affect 5 people. It affects hundreds, if not thousands, of people's lives just because somebody cannot have the backbone to make a tough decision, right? Now, here's the thing. I'm not sitting here telling you, certain people walk on water or not. I'm not sitting here telling you, well, look at this guy and look at that guy and let's judge this guy and let's judge that. First of all, we're all sinners. We all screw up. We all have done stuff. Yours may be drugs. Another person may be alcohol. Another person may be womanizer. Another person may be gambling. Another person may be, a crime from the past. None of us are walking, on water and we don't have any issues. We all have it, right? No one's perfect. MLK's got a history. Lincoln's got a history. Everybody's got something. We're just doing our best with this thing called life, right? But there's nothing more important than us developing stronger leaders. And the way you do it is with our example and getting people to do things they typically wouldn't do on their own by giving them different perspectives with the life that you've lived. If we're able to do that, we will have a fighting chance of keeping America as the greatest country in the world. Charlie Munger, who's a business partner of Warren Buffett, they interviewed his kids, and they said, what was it like when you were with Charlie as a father, dinner table? He says, my dad, all he ever talked about, he would tell us stories of his friends that were about to be successful, but because of one bad decision, they ruined their lives. He would tell us about a competitor who was supposed to be the biggest private equity guy, but because he picked up a drug habit, he ruined his life. He says he told us more stories of people that ruined their lives than he told us success stories, because he assumed you already know how to be successful, but let me tell you how to not ruin your life, right? These are lessons that you get in when you're learning from different people.
Watch out for A, B, C, D, E, rather than, oh, this guy's got $1 billion, this guy's got $1 billion. But the way things are going today, when everybody gets rewarded, whether sports, even well, they'll just send you a check. Oh, you're having a rough time. Here's a check. Here's another $1 trillion that we're going to pull out. If you're giving everybody money, you're paying them this, you're paying them that. People are practicing. When we were growing up, I'm up till 4 a.m. because I know everybody else is sleeping. I'm up at 6. Everybody thinks I'm a crazy guy. I'm texting him at 4 a.m. and he's like, Tommy, you all right? But the way we were raised, there's a reward at the end because you're trying to beat the other person, strategically. Like, I know they're sleeping. I know they don't have the drive. But nowadays, as kids are growing up, as kids are in their teens and now going into their 20s, the way our government is here. Is the purpose of all this so that they can control everything, in your opinion?
It's to win votes. I mean, you have to think about this. Let's just say you and I are brothers, okay? And our father is a former Marine vet who now runs a real estate company and has done very well for himself. And he disciplined you and I. And we're straight up disciplined. Wake up in the morning, make your bed, do this, do your push-ups, do your exercise, go do this, go do that, go do this. Okay, great. So you got to go do something after school programs. Did you do your homework? Did you do this? You got to keep your good grades or else you don't get this or else you don't get that. Take care of this. Respect your mom. Talk to her like this. Talk to her like this. No problem. Our mom and dad get a divorce. There's a falling out, okay? And we no longer live with dad. We live with mom. Mom remarries a guy named John. John comes in. He's sloppy. He's casual. Oh, don't worry about making your beds. I had to make my bed when I was younger. Don't worry about it. Oh my God, what a nice guy, dude. Thank God we don't have that freaking Marine dad anymore. Dude, don't worry about your grades. I mean, look, who cares anyways, right? You got 1 or 2 C's. You're not trying to. It's okay. Let's have some fun. Hey, you can have a beer. Don't worry about it. Hey, put the plates back. It's okay. Mary's got it. It's okay. Hey, are we going to do this church? Church, give me a break. It's like a bunch of people that think they're this. And then all of a sudden, we're going to get a warm, fuzzy feeling. And we're going to be like, man, what a nice guy. He understands us. Man, that's, I wish if Dad was only like this, I would have loved him. But one of us understands he's ruining us. Not both of us, one of us. You're going to say, Pat, I understand what you're saying, bro. But let me tell you, Dad was right. This guy's a schmuck. He's a full-blown schmuck. Dude, what are you talking about, bro? That wasn't right. Why do you think Mom left him? Why do you think this? Why do you think that? No, Mom left because family came in between them. Because they were not happy about how hard Dad was working, and they kept dividing until it was too late. And that's why the divorce happened.
Back to that.
Exactly. Goes back to this. And I'm like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. Pat, I'm telling you. This is not the way to go. Dad was right, okay? So now you're going to be okay in life. You're going to be fine because he can't change your habits. You're going to play ball, okay? But me, I'm going to be like, nah, I kind of like this guy.
Easy way out.
Guess what? I lose for 20, 30 years. You're going to be okay. That's America. You're one voter, then it's the other voter. One voter just wants freebies, and they don't realize they're being ruined by giving away free things. And the other guy's saying, I don't want anything from you. Like, remember when they were given the PPP loan, whatever the PPP loan was during COVID? It's like, hey, PPP. So we have a board call, and
Did you see some of the size of those checks?
yeah, of course, absolutely. It was,
My barber got $188K.
there you go.
Okay, my barber, he can barely afford his car payment.
Wow.
I said, "You got what?"
Crazy.
He got $188K, and I'm just thinking to myself, and you know, your record, geez, we'll be here all day with this guy's accomplishments. But you've seen that. You had it been like, and this was before they were talking too heavy about the inflation. A barber who's renting a chair for, $65, $20 a haircut, $188K.
He probably blew it already, didn't
Of course he did. He put it in the stock market because some one of his buddies told him to go buy whatever, and he lost every bit of it. Or maybe he went and bought a stupid Rolex instead of investing it. Now, if he gave him 188, imagine how much they gave in total to everyone else. Now everybody's like, oh, well, I can just sit here. And what I'm saying is, how are we going to get people out of that rut to progress and be entrepreneurs like you and be successful and invent new things? Because eventually these guys inventing things are going to pass away.
Yeah. For the most part, we the same way we like being safer, casual. You don't have to do this. You don't have, like right now they're talking about the 4-day work week. Let's make it a 4-day work week, right? Let's make it a 4-day work week. Look at the fact. You know what country in the world works the least amount of hours? Netherlands. You know how many hours it is on average? 29 hours a week is what they work. Netherlands works 29 hours a week. So we should go that direction. That's what we should do. Okay, first of all, before we pitch this idea, let's ask this question. Let's define success. What is success? Is success me having more time on my hands to watch Netflix, TV, chill out, TikTok, Instagram, bullshit around? Is that what success is? Okay, because to me it's not. Or is success building a company that makes a solution better for us than another company and saves money or does this or does it faster or does this? What is success? One company that creates 100,000 jobs and taxpayers don't have to pay because a company is paying 100,000 people's bills, that to me is success. It's not trying to please everybody that wants to stay home and not work, right? That is not success to me. So number one is definition of success. Here's the second part. 4-day work week. Okay. They did a study, this lady did a study on what amount of time free for us to have, we're doing better. If people have less than 2 hours a day to themselves, they don't do better, because she was saying, based on the research of 21,000 people, they felt like they weren't getting their errands done. Okay, which guess what? I totally get it. Hey, I got an hour and a half for lunch break. I got to go get this done. I got to get out at least at a certain time that I can go pick up some food and come up. Fine, totally get it. He says, but if that thing got to 5 hours, you're terrible for society. Because what started happening to you is you feel like you're no longer meaningful. You're not valuable. The world doesn't need you. You're worthless. Why is nobody using me? I feel like I can contribute. I feel like I can do something good. This shit doesn't work to give people a whole nother day to themselves. And by the way, when you and I were kids, what was the secret sauce for our parents to prevent us from doing drugs and joining gangs?
Extracurricular activities. And when I wasn't doing that, I had to have on the weekends, I had to have a lemonade stand out front and a snow cone out front, mow the lawn. I mean, it never ended.
But the whole that's why you're a hustler, though. But that's why, parents wanted to keep us busy. The rule of thumb with kids is what? The more time kids have on their hands, they're going to do what? Something stupid, okay? Mm-hmm. It's either drugs, they're going to watch a lot of porn, they're going to play nonstop video games, they're going to go out there and join a gang, join a crew, do this, do that. So guess what? Put them in sports, put them in jiu-jitsu, put them on that, put them in this, put them in that, for them to stay active, right? Okay, great. When does that stop? Do you think a society is better if we give adults a lot of time on their hands? What do you think adults do when they have too much time on their hands? When I have a lot of time on my hands, my hair is orange. 22 years ago, I put peroxide, like I got no job right now. Let me go to the beach and go do this. And I'm acting like a fool when I have too much time on our hands. We don't do well when we have a lot of time on our hands. So all of these things, just the beautiful part about it is bad ideas have consequences. Bad policies have consequences, and it's just a matter of time before they get exposed. People typically complain, and they'll say, Patrick, why do you interview so many communists? Why do you bring so many socialists on your show? I said, why not? But why do you do it? Do you realize what if they can have an impact and influence people? That's not possible. Why not? Because bad arguments eventually get exposed the more the person talks and sells it. It gets exposed. So I had a guy on, give you a perfect story here. Guy's name is, I believe his name is Dan Price, I think. This the guy that got up there and he said, moving forward, I lowered my salary as a CEO and I'm going to pay everybody 70 grand a year. I don't know what his name was, but you remember the story, right? I want to say his name was Dan Price. Let me just Google this real quick. If you want to look it up real quick to see if it is. I think it's Dan Price. Let me see. Yeah, his name is Dan Price, okay? Yeah. Well, I'm going to give, and all of a sudden, Bernie Sanders retweets it, AOC retweets it, all these people retweet. What a phenomenal idea. This is how business needs to be. Look at this guy. So I brought him on the podcast. Now, here's the best part on why I love of him being on the podcast. He didn't do research on who we were. He just knew these guys got 3 million subscribers at the time. Let me get on this podcast. He got on. Within 5 minutes, he realized I should have never gone on this. Because watch what happens. So I think his brother is suing him. I think his mom is suing him. I think he has all these different issues. I think he has some crazy allegations recently that he had to step down as a CEO. But here's the question I asked him. Watch what happens here. I said, so tell me why you decided to pay everybody $70,000 a year. He says, because that's the right thing to do. It's the most noble thing to do. Why would I keep all the money? I said, so your company does $100 million a year. Yes, we do $100 million a year. How are your margins? We have good margins. So you make around 20%. Yes, whatever the numbers. I don't remember the exact numbers. Yeah, we make around $20 million a year on margins. I said, so you got anywhere between $100 to $200 million company. And he kind of sits up and says, I do. I said, okay. And who owns 100% of it? He says, I do. I said, you own 100% of it? He says, yes. I said, bro, if you really want to go all the way in, how many employees you got? He says, I got 200 employees. I said, I think you should give each employee 0.5% of the company. And you should have seen his body language. I'm telling you should watch the interview just to see his body language. Well, I don't know if that would be beneficial to the employees. I said, no, it would be. Because if you really want to go be a socialist, go all in, bro. Let's do it.
Let's
do this thing. I like it. Go
don't
for
just,
it.
Don't just throw them a paycheck to make them happy.
That's right. Let's go for it. And he said, well, no, I see what you're saying, but no, that's not how it would benefit them because somebody has. I said, so then the structure, you have it. You're the Messiah, right? You're kind of like a Messiah figure in your company. And he's kind of got that twinkle in his eyes. I said, yeah, that's.
I call him a manipulator.
It's not an effective strategy.
Right?
I said, you're like a cult leader is what you are. And you've convinced them you're the guy. I said, I got you. So then the audience like, oh my God, what a conversation. And da-da-da-da-da. And I agreed with Dan or I agree with Pat or I agree with this. But bad ideas got exposed. So the whole thing about what they're testing right now, we're going to pay a price for it. But we got $32 trillion of debt right now. How the hell you want to pay that off? And you want to keep doing more, 1.7 trillion, 1 point this, and you want to give money to Ukraine, and you want to give money to this, and you want to give money to that. Yeah, this is gamesmanship, and they're delaying this whole thing, and interest rates are going up. Yesterday, Jerome Powell, which I don't know if you saw the interview with Kennedy. Kennedy is pushing him back. Senator Kennedy is like, well, you realize in order for you to get inflation back down to 2%, you realize unemployment needs to go to 10.6%. And you know what Jerome Powell says? He says, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
He's right, though.
Yeah.
Jerome Powell, what we have done to keep giving free money, 0 interest rate, 1% interest rates, and now it's 6.65. Do you know mortgage applications in the month of February? I don't know if you saw this data or not. Came out yesterday.
I saw the paper maybe a week ago. I saw it. It was almost 7%. So when I see 6.5 to me, I say, okay, they're shedding at least 1 point off of that. It's probably 7.5, but they're just saying that.
That's right. You nailed it right there. But do you know mortgage applications in February of last month, February of 2023? When's the last time we had a mortgage crisis this big? 2008, right?
Had to be late, right?
Do you know mortgage applications last month hit a 28-year low?
Wow.
94.95 is the last time we had this.
I did see that.
Do you like 28, Tommy, 28-year low.
Man.
And it's just going to get worse. So somebody said, what's your point, Patrick? Are you trying to scare the crap out of us? No.
What's your point? What
bad consequences, bad policies have consequences. The consequences are here. They're here. The people that were sitting on $1 million home, they're like, well, I'm not going to sell this up. It goes to $1 million home. Yeah, okay. It's going to sell for $800,000. I'm in Bahamas 9 months ago. We go look at this house we want to buy. $32 million house, okay? Beautiful property. You can Google it, see it, Elysium, 80 estate something in Bahamas. Beautiful property, 23,000 square foot home. We go tour it once, twice, 3 times. We like it a lot. I make an offer, okay? I don't know what the offer was. I made an aggressive offer, 20 million or 21 million, something like that. No, whatever, we pass. It's an auction right now. It's an auction right now. And that place is probably going to end up selling between 8 to 15 million bucks. That's a $40 million home. That is a $40 million home. Private beach, on the island, all this stuff. It's a $40 million home, but not in this economy. So, and this is just the beginning. So when you're saying, Pat, how do we manage this when we're doing this, when they're doing it? I trust because guys, true leaders are going to rise up and people are going to say, look, you were kind of cool, but you broke a lot of shit. That guy's a tough guy and doesn't take shit from anybody, and he's sometimes an asshole, but he kind of gets things done. I miss this guy. He put the fear in the enemy. You don't put fear into your own spouse. Nobody in your family fears you. Small squirrel animals don't fear you. The world fears this guy. We need to go back to leadership. Trust me. Bad policies have consequences, and they're paying a price right now.
Pat, when a house that you look at and you know that house is worth... This episode is brought to you by Fiji. More than just water.
This is not just rock. It's ancient volcanic rock that filters tropical rain, giving it double the electrolytes and its signature soft, smooth taste. It's not just water. It's Fiji water.
At best, 1.5 million today. And it's on the market for 7. People are buying it left and right, left and right. Then they get cut off, laid off, even if they're self-owned and they're making, good money. Everything's down. I don't care what you're in. Most everything's down. Now let's just say, you have to get rid of the house. The hedge fund comes in and they buy the houses up.
That's right.
Right? Now that's done for. So when you look at this as a whole, being from Morgan Stanley, okay, Pat, Morgan, that's just the beginning of this guy. When you see that, now, in my opinion, they say, oh, we're not in a recession yet, blah, blah. How can we not be in a recession? I think they're just shooting out money to cover it up, to redirect it out. But do you think we're in a depression yet? And if not, how close? And how can you tell by yourself? Not by the news, not by the paper. You could look at the GDP. You might as well add a point to that one, too. And then the S&P. How do you, Pat, if you're speaking, to a gazillion people, and one of the topics is, are we in a depression? Or how can you tell if we're in a depression? Because the news isn't going to tell you. The paper isn't going to tell you because they're all paid for by the pharmaceutical companies, the political campaigns. You know that as well as I do. So how would you go about it to make your own estimate or mathematical calculation where we're at?
Do you remember that debate between when George Bush Sr. lost the debate to Clinton when that lady asked a question about the national debt and, they showed a clip about how much you think milk costs right now and he didn't know the numbers and all this stuff?
Yeah.
So, if you're not out there talking to the day-to-day people, you're out of touch, you're going to pay a price. Here's a basic statistic for you. You know what business is blowing up right now and they're up 80% year over year in sales? 99-cent stores.
Yeah.
Why are people going to 99-cent stores? Think about it.
Yeah.
Why is discount stores blowing up? Here we go.
No money.
Of course. Yeah. It's like, look, dude, listen. I'm going to go to XYZ. And what happened 2 weeks ago with the numbers that came in for was it Target or Walmart or Home Depot? It's like, what? Home Depot's missed their quarterly earnings by a mile. Why are people not going to Home Depot? I wonder why. That's middle America. That is truly what is going on in the marketplace, right? Okay, so I'm talking to this guy. I'm consulting for all these companies. One of the CEOs yesterday who runs a real estate firm. Him and his wife are they're conservative, which means they've saved money, which is a good thing. But their business, the house business, is, Pat, is the worst month we ever had in the last 10 years. Real estate and loans. They're in L.A. They got 100 loan officers that work for them. Pat, it's the worst in 10 years. Really? Yes. Interesting. Now I'm talking to another guy. Hey, how are things with you? Worse in 13 years. Really? Yeah. And you were making very good money. Yes. How are things with you? There are industries that are getting destroyed today in a big way. But here's the part. I'm having dinner at Art Basel. Miami does their thing, the Art Basel. So I went there and I'm having dinner with the CEO of Goldman Sachs. It's what's his name? David Solomon. It's kind of like this. He's a DJ now. He's all this stuff. And you're sitting there, we're having dinner with all these people that have the money, and they're just kind of having this conversation. It's a really nice. So, and I said, hey, David, I asked him a question. I said, everybody is talking about inflation right now. Everybody's talking about all these other numbers right now. There's one number none of you guys are talking about. Everybody's bragging about how great unemployment is right now, 3.4%, 3.5%, 50-year low. Janet Yellen says it. Joe Biden says it. It's a 50-year low. I said, if Powell keeps increasing rates, what are your expectation of what's going to happen with unemployment Q2 or Q3 of this year? Okay, so the number to look at, to be concerned with, is unemployment. I think Q3, we're going to feel the pain of unemployment, but this is the problem. When unemployment goes up, say it goes to 5%, that's not a good thing, but it's not catastrophic. But if unemployment hits 6 or 7, immediate reflection of unemployment being at a number like that is going to be crime. Crime goes up, prices go down, depression, divorce, crisis, debt, bankruptcy. That's what's coming next, okay? If this thing goes the way it does, and Jerome Powell yesterday in his speech, he says, he was alluding to the fact that everybody's thinking he's just going to raise the rates a quarter of a point. He said, we're probably going to raise the rates higher than expected. And he's prepping everybody that it's probably going to be half a basis point. Another half is coming, okay? And he said this yesterday. So what's the moral of the story here with everything that's going on? Depression versus recession, I don't think they're going to let a depression happen. I don't think, because they learned something in 2007, 2008 that will, in our generation, it could happen, but only if we choose to change our monetary policy, because that quantitative easing is the steroids. That quantitative easing is the steroids, where all of a sudden your testosterone level is down. The first thing you do is what? Let me go do some steroids. My levels are back to 900. 1,200. Let me tell you, my girl and I are going at it 3 times a day. One of my friends, he was on steroids for 8 years straight. Bulky like this, shorter guy, and he's a good fighter. And he's like, man, let me tell you what's going on with me, man. Every day I got to go 2 or 3 times with my wife every day. I start off in the morning. I need it. I have to come home. My wife, she's tired all day because we have to go at it. It's not even I'm looking forward to having sex with my husband or my wife. It's more like it's a chore, right? He says, I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, he gets off the steroids.
I was going to say, that divorce is coming.
They're happily married, but here's what happened. He got off the steroids. Watch what happens. He says, Patrick, I've never been this depressed. I said, why? He says, 6 months I couldn't get it up.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean? So my wife and I, 6 months, I can't get it up. He says, you don't even know how demoralizing this is. He says, I just went from being the man 3 times in the morning, lunch, dinner. Now we're messing around. I can't get it up.
She's probably like, phew.
Yeah, she's probably like, I got a break. This is my vacation for 6 months.
Forget the Bahamas, forget the cruise, I'm good.
All good, right? But for him, as a man, it's demoralizing.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of, who you talk to is like, hey, even if I'm taking Cialis, or nothing's happening to me, I'm having a hard time. And so I said, so what's the story? What are you going to do about it? He says, well, let me tell you what happened. For 6 months, I went through this. I had to go see therapists. I had to do this. I had to do that. Finally, now, through natural workout, my testosterone level barely crossed 200. I'm around 300 right now. And we can have sex, obviously not 3 times a day, but we can have sex once or twice a week. And I feel healthier. And our marriage is doing better, right? Okay. So here's a question. Somebody listen to this. Do you think having sex 3 times a day is sustainable for 30 years with your wife?
I think some men believe that, but no, absolutely not, especially when kids get involved.
First of all, it's not possible. I'm willing to tell you, I don't think anybody in the history of mankind has had sex 3 times a day for 30 years every day with their wife.
Hell no.
Hell no is the answer, right?
But they watch this thing and they think it's...
They think that's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's not, right? Okay. But here's the part we have to realize. This whole bullshit about economic expansion, 128 months?
Yeah.
America had sex 3 times a day for 128 months.
Yeah, they did.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
So what happens after 128 months having sex every day for 3 times a day, just because you have all the steroids and testosterone? All of a sudden you're limp.
Yep, and you're in therapy.
And the market's been is limp right now for a while. So now we have to through natural way try to increase testosterone, which is what Powell is doing. But that natural process that we're going through today, if they don't get in the way, meaning I hope they don't fire this guy. I hope Powell finishes off what he needs to do because, sometimes they're like, well, let's get rid of Putin. We got to get rid of him. Who the hell is replacing him? We got to get rid of Jack Dorsey at Twitter. Do you remember the guy that replaced him? He was horrible. We got to get rid of Susan at YouTube. We don't know who's replacing the new person at YouTube, right? So hey, we got to get rid of Jerome Powell. I'm hoping this next thing we go through will last about 12 to 18 months. Everybody accepts the fact that rates are going to be around 5 to 6% is where we're going to be at. People realize banks kind of raise their expectation of you need to put 20% down payment instead of 5% down or no down. We kind of go away from that stuff. Maybe first-time buyers, we can have some wiggle room, but not people that are doing their second ones. And we go back to how much cash you got, how much savings you got, what are you doing? We go back to principles that work. But the next 12, 18 months is going to be ugly. I don't think we're going to get to the depression side. Because they're going to use the quantitative easing formula because it worked so effectively.
And I think you'll agree with me. I saw this all starting when they started giving loans to people that there's no way in the planet that they could afford it. You could just go in there and, scribble down some payments and boom, all right, approved for a $500K house on a $35,000, a year, salary. Approve. Then it started to go up a little bit. And when I saw them doing that, I said, oh, here we go again. Here's 08. Here's 08 again.
Yeah.
That's when I initially saw it happening. I never thought in a million years this guy was going to be pumping out trillions of dollars, checks to everybody. And then he opens the border. All these people coming in through the border. I'd like to get your opinion on this. They all talk about, okay, people are coming through the border, drugs. Pat, what about terrorists? What do you think? They just want to... This episode is brought to you by Let's Get Checked. Are you the man your father was? Recent studies have shown that men's testosterone levels have dropped substantially since the 1980s at about an average of 1% per year. Think about how old your father was when he was born. For example, if he was 30, your testosterone levels could be 30% lower than his. Low testosterone levels can have all types of health effects on men. It can affect your mood, sex drive, memory, muscle mass loss, you name it. And yes, low testosterone is more common the older you get, but it can affect men at any age. So let's talk about today's sponsor, Let's Get Checked. You can order a testing kit that will be delivered to you in a discreet packaging with next-day delivery. Once your sample arrives in the laboratory, confidential results will be available from your secure online account within 2 to 5 days. So, if you want to test your hormone levels without having to leave your home, visit trylgc.com/MSCSmedia and get 25% off your test using the code MSCSmedia. The link is in the description at the top. Why?
When somebody, a friend of yours, is doing certain things that you've known them for 18 years, and they're making certain decisions where you're like, dude, those are radical decisions that the person I've known for 18 years would never do. Something's wrong. So then one day you're like, hey, Bobby, can we talk? Yeah, what's up? Dude, something's off with you, bro. What's going on? What do you mean? I don't know. I just think you're off. The decisions you're making don't match the decisions I've witnessed you make the last 18 years. What the hell is going on here, right? It's a little weird. I think what's going on with the relationship of the American citizen with the U.S. government is the decisions we used to make, it's very weird with the decisions we've been making the last 2 or 3 years. It's a little off. Why we're doing it, I don't know. Why are you poking the bear with Russia and Putin, and you forced Russia and Xi to now become allies, and they're now best friends, where they're calling it the New World Order 2.0. It's them, which is Iran, Russia, and China. You don't want those three to get together because they all hate you. They're your enemy. If you were to rank your top 3 enemies in the world, guess what? You add North Korea in the top 5. Iran, China, Russia are in the top 5.
Absolutely.
Okay, with China being at the top, and some would say Russia's at the top, and they're competing for that spot.
And for whatever reason, in my opinion, they're underestimating Putin.
Yeah, so that's the part where, the Nord Stream pipeline, oh, we didn't do it. Russia did it themselves. Why would Russia do it? They rely on that to make income. They own 51% of it, 50.5% of it. No, it's them, it's this, it's that, it's this. All these text messages came out. Very, very weird on what's going on. Just yesterday, I don't know if you saw those messages that were released by a UK Secretary of Health or something, where the guy is texting the other person saying, when are we going to release the next variant? We need to control the populace through fear. And those text messages were revealed by BBC, by CNBC. This isn't Fox or Breitbart or any of that stuff. It was released by everybody. You're reading these text messages, and is this real? Are these guys serious about this? He's like, hey, Tedros owes me a favor. What are we going to do with the chip? Because they want to put the chip in, and Bill Gates, and he puts the Bill Gates name in there with the chip. Very, very weird. So I don't know. I think we're making some weird decisions. I think on the other side, with China, what China is going through, with the way their COVID guidelines are as strict as they are, people need to work. You need employees to be doing their part to work, or else you can't pump out the products that you've been producing. So if China has the strict guidelines that they have, that's going to cause companies like Apple that have already decided to leave, take 25% of their iPhones that they're making to India. I think they're building a $750 million plant over there. If this gradually happens and China starts taking a hit, by the way, China's right now having more and more billionaires leaving China. Mm-hmm. The wealth is leaving China. They have a net immigration number. So, for example, a couple numbers here to be thinking about. The country China fears the most, in my opinion, is in U.S. I think they know they have U.S. They have U.S. in their pocket. They're not even worried about the U.S.
I don't think they're worried about it.
I think China fears India.
So do I.
So the reason why China fears India went out there and said, listen, China, who the hell are you? We're banning 100 of your apps, including TikTok. TikTok is not legal in India, okay? And China's like, wait, you going to ban the most addictive drug in the world called TikTok? Yes. Wow. Even U.S. didn't do that. When India is saying, you guys had your one-kid policy. We don't have a one-kid policy. Your average age of your population is 38.4 years old. Our average age is 26, 27.
Look out.
Our population just passed yours up. We're developing technology. We have one of the best universities in the world that competes directly with MIT called IIT. We're not worried about you. So India, I believe, could play a very, very important role if America is able to develop an ally, and they have an issue right now because India doesn't trust America right now, because India's sitting there saying, well, you can't push us around. You can't do to us what you've done to other people. So they're kind of standing up for themselves. I would be negotiating the structure with India in a complete different way if I was U.S., because if U.S. starts giving all the manufacturing jobs to India, they don't even know they could indirectly develop the next China as an enemy in 20 years. That they're going to be so aspirational to say, we want to get bigger than America. You have to get your agreements in place today with the tariff and all that stuff. So the exchange is equal, if not greater for us than them. So anyway, I'm giving you a long-winded answer, but there's a lot of things going on right now that just don't make any sense.
None at all. And India's building all kinds of pharmaceutical companies over there that they're doing like the fourth-party testing.
Yep.
And you know, like you said, if we don't get those tariffs right now, they're going to be a problem.
I think so. I think they're going to be. I think if we do it right, India can be a very, very important ally. Mm-hmm. Very important ally. Because, so if let's just say we're in a room, 20 guys are in the room, the toughest guy is sitting over there, okay? 18 people don't fear him. You represent a different crew. I represent a different crew. We respect him, but we don't fear him. So he said, you guys got to do this. Tells you, like, yeah, let me think about it. We'll get back to you, Tommy. Okay, cool. All right. Hey, Pat, how about you guys? Yeah, well, I got to talk to, but we'll let you know what we'll do next week. You know, I don't know if it's going to work out or not, but man, great idea. I'm happy for you guys. Okay. He knows he's got the other 18, but he needs us too. We have to figure out a way to say, hey, Tommy, what are we doing here? What's your concern? Because I'm trying to see, you see the same concern I see? Well, let me tell you, here's what I'm worried about. Once you get in, you can't get out, because here's how it works. Okay. All right. So let's talk. You want to follow up and have a conversation about this? Let's do it. I think that's what U.S. and India need to do. And India knows U.S. is King Kong, but U.S. has to also know India has inventory and we need them. We cannot be relying on China. They do not like America.
They're
at
just
all.
waiting, and they have patience. And you can like them or not like them, but Trump knew how to negotiate. And you need a Trump in there to go negotiate with India. Whether you like the guy or hate the guy, you can't deny that he's not a good negotiator. I mean, he went there after he called him Rocket Man, he went, I mean, I thought, is this guy crazy? You know, I went right, sat there after he was calling him Rocket Man for a month, you know. You need a businessman to negotiate with these people, not a guy that, you know, otherwise we're in even more trouble. Now, you know, you were working with Morgan Stanley, and I see a lot of people don't like to take risk anymore. You leave there, you open up your own firm. And somehow, how you did it, I don't know. You know, you're doing the insurance with the life insurance, right? With the retirement. Somehow you made all those deals with the carriers. Now, how do you make, you know, and those guys are cutthroats. I have some friends in that, you know, like insurance, man, they're, you know what they are. How do you make all those deals and then get it in 49 states, sir?
Yeah, you know, insurance companies, in a way,
and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. But you're making a good point, because there is a part of, I don't want to say mob, but there is power plays being done in insurance all the time, and there's a lot of bullying. And so you have to learn how to maneuver and, you know, make your stand, yet at the same time develop strong relationships and show value and have a niche that they need. You can't be like everybody else. You know, you have to have the technology. You got to give them the numbers that they want. It is not an easy game. You're dealing with political clout, you know, states. There's a lot of politics in a lot of different states that can make your life a living hell. So you need to know how to deal with those guys. You need to have the right lawyers on your side, accounting on your side, supporting cast on your side. It's not easy. But, you know, a part of it that also is, I just finished a book right now called Unreasonable Hospitality. It's one of the best books I've ever read. It's a phenomenal book. The guy is, he's the guy that ends up running a restaurant that becomes not only a 3 Michelin star in New York, but it also ends up becoming the #1 restaurant in the world, ranked #1 in the world. I think it's called 11 Madison. They're doing around $17.9 million a year top line revenue, one restaurant. Think about that. Crazy.
$17 million for one restaurant.
One restaurant, $17.9 million a year is what they do.
Oh,
yes.
Good for them.
Yeah, it's a great story. Phenomenal book. Everybody's got to read it. I don't know the guy, never met the author. I think it's a phenomenal book. In the book, he explains relationships, right? How you develop relationships. I think they're biz dev experts, like how, you know, people came in and they're about to go and they're not there for too long. They're like, man, we came. It's a great restaurant, but we haven't had New York sausages yet. And, you know, their guys run out, get New York hot dogs, bring you back and say, here you go, try these. Like, oh my God, you did the, hey, you know what? Hey, where are you parked? You parked by the meter or you parked in the valet? No, I'm by the meter. Okay, great. They're saying, okay, boom. They're putting, you know, quarters, dollars in. And they don't even know they're doing that. They're like, oh, we have to go because my car's, don't worry about it. We've been paying your meters for the last 45 minutes. You're fine. Wait, you guys put money in there? Yeah, you're good for another hour. Who does this kind of stuff? Wait, so, yeah, we just did $1 million deal. Here's what we're going to do. Oh, no problem. Here's a bunch of $100,000 bars. What is this candy all about? Congratulations on your $1 million deal. What? So they became very good at that. In 2015, I went to the Harvard OPM program, and I came back. I was with 144 CEOs from 64 different countries. And I can't tell you what I learned from the professors. I can tell you what I learned from my classmates. That's who I learned a lot from. When I came back, I used to treat my carriers as they need me instead of I need them. And it was an asshole move, and it wasn't working out that well. So I came back. I said, nope, we're flipping it on them. Here's what we're going to be doing. December, I'm hosting my first carrier meeting. Instead of you taking a bill, I'm taking it. They came in, we spoiled them, we fed them, drinks, all of that, gifts. Here's Warren Buffett's letters that he writes. Here's a gift for you. Here's a battery pack. Here's a bottle of wine. Here's this, here's that. They're like, what is going on here? The first meeting was very weird because they had no clue what I was talking about. So I said, here's good, bad, and ugly. Guys, here's what went good in 2015. We won here. We lost here. We royally screwed up here, okay? And we kind of need your feedback. What do you think we could have done differently in this area? And they would look at each other and say, you're actually telling us what you did wrong? Yes. And then, man, what do you guys need help with? And just kind of looking at me like, we would like to go into Tennessee market. Make a note. Let's move a couple of our guys to go open up an office in Tennessee. What else do you need? We need your quality of business to get better. How can we do that? Can you give us some feedback? How about we did this with the guidelines? No problem. Make a note. That meeting every year became the meeting everybody looked. It went from 11 people to 7. These are the biggest heavyweights in insurance. The last one we did was nearly 80 people. And one of the jokes, a guy named Mehran, who's a CEO of a major insurance company out of Vermont, he says, Patrick's the only guy that knows how to bring all his mistresses in the same room, and we all get along. But the point is me telling them, I need you, I appreciate you, thank you, okay? And I respect you. We're growing, we're improving, we're going to do this together. Versus, what about me, you can't do anything? Yeah, it doesn't work. So the concept of partnership, you're in a space with a lot of egos. You know, this is an ego world. Podcast is all ego.
Oh, yeah.
YouTube is all ego. Hollywood, all ego. Sports, ego. Business, ego. One of the best skill sets you'll if you ever learn to build a business or be a politician or be a CEO is learning how to manage all egos, but most importantly, learn how to manage your own ego. If you can do that, you keep removing the lid, and now you got another level to grow, It's not easy to do, but if your vision is that big of a vision, you kind of don't have a choice, because if you don't do it, it's just not going to work out.
And be able to adjust, because everybody's different. Every deal is different. One person is not like the next. So you have to be able to I always look at the body language. When I was making a deal with it, when I had an engineering firm, I knew right away with the body language. And the funny thing was, I was going to make these deals and I had them. And you know what they looked at? My shoes. And I went to my friend and I said, what the hell is this? He goes, go get Gucci loafers with the horseshoe things. All right. The second I started wearing those damn shoes, I did the breakers. I did the Italian restaurant, the breakers, because you could play to certain individuals and businesses, and you're all right. But then other ones, if they don't see certain things, they're like, well, he can't be that good if he's not proper. You know what I mean? And that's just a little thing that I went.
Good point. Yeah.
Now, how do you go from that to deciding to do a podcast? The first time you popped up, I was watching Dan Pena screaming at somebody, great guy.
Yeah.
And you popped up and it looked like, I don't know if you had stopped for a while, but it was a comeback thing. And it was like this trailer and you're carrying and everything. It was awesome. What made you want to start a podcast? I mean, because obviously you didn't need to.
Yeah. No, I didn't need to. And I live a pretty private life. I've always been the guy that's very private to myself. But we're living in a different world. Today you have two brands. You have the brand, which is the company, and you have the brand, which is you. If you can get your brand to also be bigger, it benefits the entire company, right? Your brand, the company's brand. Okay. So one day we're sitting there, me and Mario, I would make videos, but only as a sales training material for my insurance company. And Mario said, Pat, what do you say we start making some YouTube videos? I said, if we do, what does it sound? What do we call it? The 2 Minutes with Pat. So we came up with a show called 2 Minutes with Pat, and I would do clips. Once a week, a video would go out, and it's called 2 Minutes with Pat. No problem. None of the episodes were ever 2 minutes. They were all 11 minutes, 9 minutes, 8 minutes. The only one that was 2 minutes was the last episode that we did, right? Yeah, exactly. So we did this 2 Minutes with Pat, and I said, look, 2 years later, let's do 104 episodes, meaning 2 years straight. See what happens if we have an audience or not. Okay, cool. Then we went and did a couple other how-to videos, business videos. And then I went to a conference in San Diego, and this one guy from the stage, Michael Hyatt, said, pick one word that you're going to talk about. And he was on the panel with another guy that was a lawyer who left being a lawyer, and all he ever talked about was Disney. He knew everything about Disney, and his podcast blew up. It's the #1 Disney podcast in the world. And all he talked about was Disney. So my word was entrepreneurship. I knew business. So we started creating business content. And then one day, I sit down, I come to the office, I said, Mario, I have an idea. And we had just fired our marketing guy at the time because he was constantly trying to make it too corporate. I don't want to be corporate. It's like, well, you're insurance. You're trying to you're not a media company. I'm like, we eventually may want to be a media company. You're trying to keep me to be. So his stuff was like, let's make videos like New York Life. I don't want to make those types of videos. That's not my identity. I want to make different kind of videos. I think there's a different opportunity here. So one day we come back and said, Mario, turn on the recorder. It's me, Mario, and a guy named Paul. And I started giving the script. And literally, I wrote the script to Life of an Entrepreneur in 90 seconds, okay? So we cut the video, we make it, and when we shoot the video, it's the day I'm coming out to go shoot the video. My wife comes out the door crying. I said, what happened, babe? Her father died. The day I did this video, 3 hours prior to me stepping out of that video, my wife's father died, and she got the news.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. So this happens. I'm like, oh, man, do we cancel the shoot? I got 9 people outside. She's inside. She, babe, do the video. So anyways, we do the video. Shoot the video. I don't know what's going to happen with this video. We put it together. Sounds good. Come back. We put it on YouTube. We call it the greatest motivational video of 2015, whatever. It flops. It only gets 2,000 views.
I thought it was this one.
No, it is this one. But on YouTube, it flops at first. And then I go on Facebook. It's Christmas Eve. Not Christmas Eve. Halloween, October 31st of 2015. And I direct upload and I change the title. And I said, Life of an Entrepreneur in 90 Seconds. Now, at this time, I don't have but maybe 10,000 subscribers, okay? 5,000 subscribers. I go to sleep. We go trick-or-treating. I come back. I wake up in the morning. Every one of our servers is done because this thing got 10 million views. And I put a link to our website. Emails on top of emails. Anyways, it goes viral, gets on our platform, gets 40 million views, and people shared it on their own direct upload. Ended up getting around 500 million views this thing got.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, this one video alone. And then from there, you know, Entrepreneur Magazine, we did a deal with those guys. We started creating content for them. And then I took a break. I've taken 2 or 3 breaks. I took a 90-day break, and I said, guys, I don't want to do this anymore. If we're going to do this, we're only going to do it because we're going to go after media, and we're going to build a big media company. So I named the company Valuetainment. I thought it was a unique idea. It was a publicly traded company in Germany called Valuetainment. So I emailed the guy, said, I want to buy your domain. He says, we're on the stock market. Well, I'm not selling you the domain. I said, I want the domain. He says, well, I'm not going to sell it to you. Anyways, 2 years later, I bought the domain from the guy for $27,000. I bought the domain. So, which was kind of cool. So he changed his company's name to Valuetees. We became Valuetainment. And then now, if you come see our operations, we got consulting from Second Floor that's blown up. We do consulting for small to mid-sized companies doing $1 million to $100 million a year. And we'll teach them whether you want to find a C-suite or raise capital, do this. And then downstairs, we have the bank vault that turned into a podcast set. So literally, the bank vault is the podcast.
Awesome.
We bought a Chase
cool,
building.
man.
We do all the cutting, everything downstairs. And then bought another building a mile away from ours. We turned that into a comedy club with a cigar lounge, high-end cigar lounge in the back
awesome.
with humidor. And, you know, you got the Godfather's big poster on the wall with a poker table and domino table and a boardroom in the back and drinks and cigars and all that stuff. So, you know, we made an offer on an 11-acre land in Fort Lauderdale. We want to turn it into our campus for Valuetainment. We got a vision of building a media company. But I tell you this, the vision was we need a voice to really make an impact. I think we have a voice. Let's get it bigger. That was it. It wasn't, no, we're now going to build a media company and compete in a marketplace and study what different people did and different people are doing, and this is going to be our niche. Our niche is business. We are a business show first, but now we're recruiting comedians. We had 120-something comedians tried out to be part of the team. It went down to try up. 11 made the cut to the end. They were here last week doing a bunch of content at our headquarters. Probably 5 to 7 of them are going to get offers to come in. And the only thing they do, they have one job every day. Make people laugh. That's all you need to
There's
do.
nothing better than
Go
laughter.
up against SNL, right?
Nothing better than
yeah.
laughter, man.
So, you know, this is an accidental media company.
Go to the next step.
What
'cause
did
I wanted to show
that,
you
what
this.
did that marketing guy say now?
You know,
Have you talked to him?
No, by the way, very, very smart guy. Very, very smart guy. Went to the right schools, did a lot of the right things, but he stopped adapting and paying attention to what was going to social media, and he was still trying to get us to do stuff that was old school.
Scroll up, Rob. Scroll up. Look at the date on this. That was because I was trying to copy your desk.
Yeah.
Now scroll down. I have them all over my phone. You'll laugh. Keep going down, Rob. I had that one because I love that desk where you can get your legs under it.
Yep.
Keep going down, Rob. Down, Rob.
Look at this. 3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years.
John A. Light.
Yeah. That one too, because I was looking for another He-Man, and I was looking how you did it from the angle. That's that side camera
Yep,
I was talking
yep.
about. And then June 2012, I tried.
This was before I got here, all right?
I like it.
I tried, man.
Who was the guest? Who is that?
That was my old lawyer. He had come in and he had a podcast just for his lawyer channel. So he came in and helped me just wire everything, and I didn't know what I was doing.
Look at you now with this set, bro. This is a real set. This is sick.
It's a mix in between you and Rogan.
I love this
I tried
set.
to copy Rogan a lot of times.
I love it.
Yeah, I like his setup, and congratulations on being on there.
Yeah, we had a good time. Joe is he's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT, man.
In this space, he's the GOAT. And you know what's crazy about Joe? As much of the GOAT that he is in the podcast space, he's helped a lot of people get their career start in the podcasting world. There's a guy that helped him out. He's interviewed him a few times. I forget his name every time. He gives him a lot of credit. Very humble guy. But at the same time, Joe is as likable as he is on camera, is even more likable off camera. Like if you just like one time he invited me to go to watch his show in Jacksonville. So I went and watched 15,000 people in the arena. Apparently DeSantis walked in to be in there as well. I mean, it was just because DeSantis is from Jacksonville. And then the next day was the UFC fight. And I went to the UFC fight. It was a sick fight we went to. And every night we're having dinner. But the dinners every night is getting later and later. So we're going to the same place. The restaurant was unbelievable. And first night we go have dinner at 1 o'clock. Second night we're having dinner at 2 in the morning. We're up till 4:30. And the energy, the stories, the laughter, his crew, the people. Super likable guy.
And
in a league of his own.
And he keeps it small too, right?
Yeah. You have to realize at that point, the question is, the more successful you get, do you trust more people? Or is it more people, but you don't trust as many people, right? Because you don't really know what do you want from me? Like, what does this person want? At least I know Joey when I was a nobody. Okay, I know what he wants from me. He just wants a friendship. At least I know what Billy wants from me. He just wants to shoot the shit, smoke weed, or laugh. But I don't know what this guy wants from me. It's too early. So it's as you age, it's harder to trust people, newer people in your life, and you can't blame them because you're thinking everyone has an agenda.
That was a question when we had Dan Pena on and we went down to Miami.
Yeah,
I had asked him, like, how do you trust when you become the level you're at? How do you? Well, I'll ask you this: how do you trust people? How do you figure out, man, I could trust this guy? Or, I don't know about this.
Yeah. So one is intuition, okay, your gut. Two is a crew that you trust that's been with you for a while to get their judgment as well. If you're, not fully sure, you're like, so what do you guys think about these guys? And you're talking, well, I like this. I was a little concerned when he said this. His partner seemed like our type of guy. That guy is this. When we walked out and I took him to the bathroom, we had a 10-minute conversation together. He told me this. I actually like these guys a lot. I think we need to consider doing something with them. Great. So first is your intuition. Two is a filtering system of the people you trust the most. And then 3 and 4 is having filters in place where you're still protected because, there's ways to test relationships, right? How do you test a relationship? If you tell somebody a secret that only they know, and then somebody else calls you with that secret, well, now they are not the only person that knows. They told another person, so I now know how to manage that manage that relationship with you because I know I can't tell you everything because it's going to generally leak to someone else. No problem. We know what the level of relationship is. But the way I look at it with relationships is the following. There's 7 markers. I did a video on this thing, which is one is character, what's their level of thinking big, what's their level of Rolodex, what value do they bring, all this stuff. Obviously, you got to look at it for yourself with them as well. But you look at it and it's like, okay, this person just like a FICO score, you got a 720 or 480 or 590 or an 820. All relationships also have FICO scores, okay? And you get to decide what you're willing to finance with them. If somebody's got a low FICO score, maybe you'll finance a small used car. If somebody's got a high FICO score and they've been doing a very good job for 20 years, maybe you'll let them finance $1 million home, $2 million home, maybe start a business with them. But, everyone's got a credibility score. You have to kind of lean on that credibility score.
Pull up tab 6. Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Now he's my favorite. I used to have floor seats there, and he would, Antonio would play him 40 minutes a game, whatever. He would miss one shot. I would go up and have dinner, everything else, and I would look down many, many, many times, and he would be shooting that. Everybody's in the locker room changed, and he would spend at least 2 hours shooting that one shot that he missed, and that wasn't just one time. Because I lived in Pennsylvania, and I was such a fan. I couldn't.
You live in Pennsylvania. You would go to.
I liked them that much. So
Wow.
I had a crazy work schedule. So I would take a red eye on Thursday night, and I just hoped that they would play on the weekend. So I got season tickets just because it was just overall cheaper. So I would leave Thursday night, go there, and then take a red eye back Sunday, and be at the office by 7 a.m. Monday, hoping that the plane didn't get delayed. And I went to every one of them, every single one. And whenever he missed a big shot, I would go up and I'd have dinner, and I would look down and I'd see him working, and I said, man, this guy never gives up, never gives up. And I liked him before that, and that guy is just on a whole nother level. How in the world did you get him?
Oh,
you got to take me through how that process went, because I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, so we were going back and forth. There's a guy in L.A. who had a media company, a magazine. But to me, the way it started is the following. So the first guy I had on my event from the Lakers, because I'm a diehard Laker fan, was James Worthy.
James Worthy, oh yeah.
So from James Worthy, I knew, I was trying to get to Kobe, but I knew I had to kind of start it and work my way up. So James Worthy was number one. Yeah. So we won James Worthy over. We had a very good relationship with James. Phenomenal. Good guy. Then from James, it was Magic. So then we brought Magic. Magic had a phenomenal time. We had our crew there. All these stories, everything was great. So then from Magic, we had Kevin Hart. So Kevin Hart came in. We had a blast with Kevin Hart. And at the same event, we had Kevin Hart. We put on anyways, we had a very good time. All these speakers were bringing, then Gretzky, Calipari, all these guys. And then it comes for this event. I'm really trying to, this is going to be the splash. The whole world is going to see this. But the entire industry, I'm trying to make a statement in the insurance industry. So that event had Billy Beane, who's the guy from Moneyball. You've seen the movie Moneyball with Tom Cruise.
100 times.
Billy Beane is the only guy I've invited 3 times to an event. Only guy. And he's never let me record, by the way. Never.
Never, huh?
Because, he says it's all about data. So we bring Billy Beane. Then it's Jordan Peterson. Then it's President Bush, and it's Kobe Bryant. All the same event. Media comes after me, negative articles. Let me tell you what Kobe and Bush and this and this and that. Anyways. And then comes a time where Kobe and I are going to meet in the conference room. So he comes into the conference room. What's up? We're talking. He's signing all these balls. There's all these great pictures of he and I. And he's talking to my wife. He's talking to my kids. He spent 15 minutes talking to Dylan, my son at the time, 2019. So this is 4 years. He would have been 5 or 6 years old. And so in Dylan's mind, Kobe's his best friend. And then all of a sudden I see people that are coming in to see him. One 70-year-old lady showed up, Caucasian lady. Kobe, how are you? Hugging, you can just see how much she loved him and saw him as a grandson or a son, and and his relationship to them. And we had an hour-and-a-half conversation prior to going live. And then he says, hey, how do you feel before you do these interviews in front of 6,000 people? Do you get nervous? I said, no, I don't. I've done it plenty of times. He says, yeah, me neither. Crowd doesn't scare me. Cool. That interesting question he's asking. Then we are on the stage, and I edify him. I bring him up. We hit the stage. We talk. There's literally 1,000 people that run to the stage that I had to call security. And there's a part we have to cut in the interview you don't even see. We cut 5 minutes of the interview to get everybody to get back to our seats because I was going to have Kobe leave. It was pretty bad. That's how bad it got because they were enamored by the guy. So then we had security lined up front because we had Secret Service there because of President Bush. So it kind of worked out. 100 Secret Service, all these Secret Service agents are there. We have the metal detectors, everything. And then the interview starts. And then when we do the interview and it goes live, it gets picked up by Stephen A. Smith, First Take, ESPN, NBC, CBS, ABC. The number that was guesstimated on how many views it got is nearly 500 million views. Okay, not... I don't know how many views it's got on YouTube. The interview we did, maybe it's got 5 million views or something. Another guy's got 20 million views. Yeah, there you go, 4.1 million views.
Right, yeah, right.
But
I think they throttle. In my opinion, they throttle Instagram. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way in the planet.
But this thing on Instagram Shorts, Facebook just took off. And then relationships started with he and I where we're, talking about, what things could potentially happen with Kobe and I. And then next thing you know, we're at lunch at Seasons 52 in Dallas, and my phone says, Kobe Bryant got into an accident. I'm like, no, this is not a funny joke, man. Because remember the whole Paul Walker one time there was a joke and it didn't happen. There these things that people say this person died, and a person tweets and like, I'm alive. This is not true, right? And people kind of want to tell the story so they break it. I'm like, that can't be true. Then ABC, Fox alert, ESPN alert, all these alerts. And I said, did you see this, babe? I'm getting the chills in my body. I said, babe, did you see this? She says, yeah, babe. I said, there's no way this is true. Then I start calling. Like, nope, it happened. Dylan sees my phone and says, Daddy, my friend Kobe Bryant just died. I said, he just died. And obviously, athletes have died. It's happened, many, many athletes that we've lost, right? The only one where the world stopped the way they did was Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
The world stopped.
I was devastated.
Oh, my.
I didn't go to work because I looked up to him as never gave up, no matter what. This guy tore his Achilles and went and shot 2 foul shots and walked back to the bench.
You know, like when my mom will tell me she remembers where JFK was when he was shot. I'll remember where I was at when Kobe Bryant died. I was down in Miami. They had the Super Bowl. They had the pre-stuff, like Fan Fest and all that type of stuff. We went down with the kids. Some guy in front of me on his phone goes, oh, shit. I go, what? He goes, Kobe Bryant just died. I said, no way. Once he started it, literally you saw everyone. It was the weirdest thing. Everyone, the alerts came over the phones. Everyone went to their phone. And this place that went from everybody having a good time, I'm telling you, silence. It was the weirdest thing ever.
It was intense when that happens. Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
You saw everybody doing tributes, specials, all this stuff. But, that guy was one of a kind. To see Jordan giving the tribute speech, and I've never seen Michael cry like that. Michael crying? Yeah. Michael cried when his dad died and he won the championship. I remember that. Michael cried on a couple different instances. He loved winning, right? But the way Michael died when he was talking about Kobe.
Like his brother.
In front of the world.
In front of the world, man. I was just freaking. You felt it. As a fan, you felt it. You just sat there and you're like, this is why you love the game. And this is why when you follow a guy's career. Kobe's born August 23rd of 1978. I'm born October 18, 1978. We're 6 weeks apart, right? So when he came to L.A. and Shaq brought him in, and I asked Kobe a question about Shaq. I said, hey, if Shaq had your work ethic, well, we would have won fucking 12 rings and all this stuff. But then Shaq DM'd me and said, what a dumbass, stupid question. And he blocked me. I'm like, Shaq, give me. So boom, block. So I'm trying to get an interview with Shaq. Doesn't want to talk to me. It's just, saying all this stuff. It's the dumbest question anybody could ask. Anyways, eventually we got Shaq at our event this last August, and he agreed to come finally. So he comes and says, hey, he wants to see you before we hit the stage. So I go to the back. I'm like, what's up, Shaq? What's up? He says, that was a stupid-ass question. I said, Shaq, that is not a stupid-ass question. He says, that's a stupid-ass question. What do you mean if I had his work ethic? Do you realize when I was playing, I already had kids, I had a family, this guy didn't have this, and I could have done this, and I could have... I said, but it's still a good question. This question got us to talk to each other. Anyways, we had him up. It's the only interview I've ever done with a person where Shaq, because he had affinity with Kobe, Shaq and my son Dylan got close. So when I'm doing the interview and Dylan's standing over there, we're at the MGM Grand Arena. There's like 10,000 people in the room. Yeah. Shaq says, Dylan, come here. So Dylan comes, sits next to me. The entire interview, Dylan is sitting here while I'm interviewing Shaq. It was a very good experience. Yeah, it was cool.
He's huge.
He is.
Huge guy.
Massive.
And then what made the transition to the PBD podcast? Because you have Valuetainment, you're rolling with that. And then that seems more, just from the outsider's view, more, Valuetainment, the mob guys, the frog guys, some other guys. The PBD podcast.
Hard to say, PBD.
Yeah, I'd rather just call your name. But, that's more, like Neil and more, I don't know what you would say.
Well, let me tell you what happened with this. So for me, I've always been interested in politics, always. But, I'm building an insurance company, and, when I give my political opinions and stuff, the insurance industry is filled with a lot of people that disagree with my opinions, as weird as it sounds. You would think they would be capitalists, but a lot of them are politically from a different place because they all went to the right schools. They went to Columbia, or they went to Yale, or they went to Harvard, they went to this, they went to Berkeley. These are all hardcore left, they're learning, let me tell you, it's not fair what these guys are doing, and America's history is this, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm the complete opposite. So I pumped the brakes a little bit on politics. When I got to a point where I said, I'm now ready. However, we tested having my podcast on Valuetainment for the first 5, 6, 7 episodes. I didn't want to risk it because my Valuetainment audience is saying, what is this? This is not what we signed up for. We signed up for business content and interviews, not you talking politics. So I said, great, we got to start from scratch. So we started a channel by ourselves with 57 people listening. It was so weird. You're doing a show, you're like, there's only 57 people live. We did the other one. And anyway, so we started that, and then PBD podcast started growing. Just yesterday, we had yesterday or 2 days, we had a guy named Steven Crowder. I don't know if you know who Steven Crowder is. He was on the podcast. Our live listeners, while we were on, hit 37,000 live listeners. But, we'll do a podcast and we'll talk current events. We'll talk, politics. We'll talk economy. We'll talk business. We'll talk this. We'll talk that. And the Andrew Tate interview that I did, I believe, went on the PBD podcast. Shaq went on the PBD podcast. Oliver Stone went on the PBD podcast. So, and that's now grown. We just crossed 500,000. I think we're at 600,000 something subs now. Gradually growing, and this is a place where we can just shoot the shit, talk current events, and I bet this happens to you as well. When people see me, the other day I was in church, guy stops by and talks to me, says, "You're the famous TikToker." I said, "What?" I don't even do anything on TikTok. My guys post this. No, I seen all your stuff on TikTok, right? You would think people know you have a YouTube channel. They don't. Some people only know you through Spotify. Some people only know you through Apple iTunes. Yeah. Some people only know you through Instagram. Some people only know you through YouTube. Some people only know you through TikTok or Facebook. Some people only know me through PBD Podcast, and they have no clue what Valuetainment is. Okay, it's a very interesting audience that approaches me, that follows this, versus the audience that approaches me that follows, Valuetainment. Very different.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
People come up to me like, "Are you on the news?" No, you're not on the news. Oh, you're the media guy.
Well, you look Hollywood, though. You look Hollywood. You know that. Very good-looking guy.
Oh, thank you.
You look like you're a Hollywood guy. You look like you're either an actor or a model. You did something. You got that look. So
thank you.
You got the look of somebody who looks like a celebrity. I got the look of a guy that should be a security guard. I got a different look. I look like the guy that I'm at a restaurant, bouncer, club, something like that. I'm the military guy. But, I'll tell you a funny story here. So there's a restaurant in Fort Lauderdale called Casa D'Angelo. There's one in Boca as well, but there's the one I go to is mainly Casa D'Angelo. I love the owner. The guy's a legit guy. Respect him a lot. For Christmas, we were in Aspen, and we went to his restaurant in Aspen, Casa D'Angelo. Phenomenal. Christmas Eve, we were with him. His wife was there. They're working their tails off. Just a lot of respect for these guys. So I've never been to Casa D'Angelo. I just moved to Florida. We're living in Boca, and we bought a house in Fort Lauderdale. I'm trying to get all the restaurants because, to me, I can't stand moving, because once I know the restaurant, the waiter, the waitress, the bar, it's just so, I don't want to do it again. I like the guys I got. So,
Pat, not to interrupt you, imagine coming from up north in Philly down here, trying to find a slice of pizza and a cheesesteak.
Hard, very hard.
Ugh.
Compared to what you have. I mean, it's a very different world where you're at.
It's so different up there, yeah.
So anyways, we go to Casa D'Angelo, and I start doing the PBD podcast, and first night we go to have dinner. I take Michael Francis. So we have dinner there. Great. Everybody's looking at me. Okay, we know who Michael is. All right, interesting. Next week, dinner, Chaz Palminteri. Chaz comes in. Hey, Chaz. Hey, Bronx Till. Hey, Chaz. Hey, Chaz. Hey, Chaz. There's who is this guy, right? Next week is Sammy the Bull Gravano.
Oh, boy.
We go, hey, Sammy. And they're talking Italian because it's a real Italian place. By the fourth time I go back, they're thinking I'm a connected guy. This guy is for sure Italian. They're talking to me in Italian. They're thinking I'm connected. I'm like, no, I'm from Iran. I'm a Syrian Armenian. I just so happen to have interviewed, and I have a relationship with a lot of these guys. And but it was interesting because, again, content. A guy will park my car, valet. He says, hey, I got to tell you, the favorite show you ever did was with Phil Leonetti, because I'm a Philly guy, and I saw Phil, and I know you couldn't show his face because he didn't want to, but some of the stuff he said about Nicky Scarfo or this or that, it's very, or some people are bodybuilders, hey, that interview with Dorian Yates was sick. Let me tell you, I remember when he beat this, that. It's different audiences, and it's fascinating to talk to the fans on what they see, because you don't know what you're doing. You're just kind of doing what you're doing. You're like, I'm talking about what I'm interested in. But the fan sees a different lens. And sometimes when they talk to you, they feel like they've known you for years. Like, oh, what's up, Pat? I'm like, oh, it's like, I've been following your stuff for years, man, this, that. So it's a very interesting dynamic creating content.
I know you're short on time. I just got 2 last questions for you. When you interviewed, because I had Tristan Tate on, he was pretty cool.
I like him a lot, by the way.
Yeah, I like Tristan a lot.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to Andrew. Tristan was not what I expected at all. I thought, based on what they say, he was a cool dude. Now, you talked to their lawyer. What's your opinion of that whole situation? I know it's a tough one.
I mean, look, here's where it's at. When I went to Madrid to do the 5-hour interview that we did with Tate, his brother was there, his girl was there, and so we had a chance to talk to him without the camera on. I like Tristan Tate a lot. Obviously, I like Andrew Tate, but I like Tristan Tate a lot as well. And then the stories came out. Well, let me tell you this, human trafficking this, rape this, allegations that. Okay, great. Here's how this works. If your kid screws up, you're naturally going to defend your kid. But if your kid really did screw up, what are you going to do? He screwed up. Okay. Are you around your kid 100% of the time to see what they're going to be doing? No. What if your kid got caught smoking weed in school and now the school is suspended for a week? You're like, my kid would never smoke weed. Maybe he did. Okay. Hey, there's no way in the world my dad is capable of doing that. No, he really did. Wow, my dad, that's crazy. Freaking, So a long time ago, one of the best advice I got on parenting was that every parent and a child, typically father, son, goes through 3 different phases. First, your son is going to idolize you. You're the greatest thing, man. It's my dad, my hero. Second phase, they're going to demonize you. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't love me. I hate you, Dad. And that painful comment comes one day, right? I hate you, Dad. We've done it as sons with our fathers. And then he says the last phase you go through is they're going to humanize you, realizing Dad's a freaking human being as well, bro. You had this guy on the pedestal like he had to be perfect. Dad's also screwed up. Okay, idolize, demonize, humanize. And then the relationship starts, which is the best part of the relationship, right? I don't ever interview my guests or people I talk to and I say, let me tell you, this guy's Peterson. No, I interview people with setting aside the judgment and asking the questions on what caused you to do this or how did this happen? Why did that happen? What if you were raised by a different father or a different climate or a different environment or a different place? Could something's been different? I want to know. I'm curious. I'm curious to know what could have happened. Like, hey, okay, let's just say if your father was Sonny Franzese or if your father was Sammy, who would you have turned out? Who would I have turned out? We don't know this kind of. What if I was raised in New York and I'm Italian, Brooklyn, and I got... We don't know what's going to happen with our lives, right? So we have to do our best to have perspective, understanding of how that person was raised. So now, if they did what they did, the law is going to do what the law is going to do. So that part is the obvious. If they do what they did, the law is going to do what the law is going to do. I don't know if the cam girl stuff is an illegal business model in Romania. It is a business model in Romania. It doesn't mean you have to like it or agree with it or disagree with it. I was in Las Vegas and talking to the mayor of Las Vegas, Oscar Goodman, and Oscar Goodman said he believes in legal prostitution. Now, somebody may say, what are you talking about, legal prostitution? You're going to get young girls to become prostitutes. You're out of your mind. We would never do that in whatever, Alabama, or we would never do that in Texas. Okay, cool. But it's legal in Vegas if he wants to do it. That's what he thinks, right? Romania, cam girl, that's legal in the way they're they're doing the what do they call it, the something boy, like the getting them to fall in love with them. There's a word they're using for that, charmer, all this stuff. Okay, you guys have been trying to learn how to charm for many years. Okay, if it's rape, if it's this, if it's that, that's crossing the line. That's when the law's going to come out. Now let's flip it. Let's go to the other side. The lawyer said they started the investigation in April or so, whatever the timeline was. But the first time they arrested him was 2 days after he called out Greta Thunberg. Kind of weird. You could have arrested him any other time. Why'd you wait till then? What new, thing did you find to do that? And if it is something new, you're still using the word allegedly. There's still no proof where they don't know what they're being convicted or charged for. It's just allegations, allegedly, right? You and I can be allegedly arrested for something that we allegedly did, but we are not yet convicted and charged for it, right? So let's take these guys to prison. And, you think about a small little market like Romania, I don't know. You talk to certain people, you say how the corrupt, what it is, all this stuff, and then some people say, well, that's also why Andrew said he went over there, because he said if the government can do it and politicians can do this, I want to be able to do it as well to me. So there's certain things he said and he's positioned himself that he said too much and he's gotten himself in trouble. I think that part, when he gets out, he has to change his approach. He can't continue with the same approach because this is going to keep reappearing. Yes, you can go after this and you can go after that. The other thing is I think if they do come out and they can't find anything on him, I think his voice is going to get 10 times bigger. I think the first live he does when he goes out, it could break the internet as the biggest live ever. The first interview is going to blow up all over the place, whether he's going to be in Romania or Dubai. I don't think I would stay in Romania if I'm them. I think I'm probably going to move to a different place that like Dubai, especially if you're now a Muslim and you're publicly claiming you're a Muslim. You may want to go somewhere that's a Muslim that's going to protect your faith. I don't know. I think if there's something, they got to handle their business. If they don't, they just made him 10 times bigger than he was before he went in.
Yeah, it's just a messy situation.
Yeah, it is.
And real quick, tell everybody about when you went to Germany and you went and sold the beer. And to me, that might have shaped your whole career as an entrepreneur. Yeah. Wait to hear this, Rob.
Yeah. 10 years old. I'm at the refugee camp. There's this girl named Katarina Staff, who to me is the hottest girl in the refugee camp. And her brother, Jan Staff, God bless his soul, but Jan Staff, he liked video games, and I liked his sister. So I went to a local swimming pool there, and I wanted to find out how much the Super Nintendo was. It was 249 marks at Kaufhof. And I said, I'm going to buy that. So I went to the local swimming pool, and they had, the good thing about Germans are they drink a lot of beer, which means I can do the work. So I said, listen, there's beer bottles everywhere. To the owner, I said, what if I clean this place up? He said, I'll give you 5 pfennig for each one you bring back to me. I said, no problem. So I knew I counted the money. I counted how many. I needed 5,000 beer bottles. I got 5,000 beer bottles. I got 250 marks. I went to Kaufhof. I bought the Super Nintendo. I came back to the what do you call it, refugee camp, set it up in the brother's room. He played the Super Nintendo, and I took his sister, and we went and hung out together. By the way, that's a real story. Yeah. By the way, I went to Madrid to go to El Clasico to watch Messi play against Ronaldo, and we had the reunion. It's kind of weird. We hadn't seen each other for 1990 till 2019, 2000. We hadn't seen each other for nearly 20 years. It's the most awkward thing. Not even 20 years, 30 years. 30 years we hadn't seen each other. It was such an awkward moment when we saw each other, but emotional because you were kids. You're like, oh my God, like look at us. We're adults now. We have this, we have that. But yeah, that was the first time when I realized you're not going to starve. You're going to figure out a way to make money.
Good for you. Anything, Rob?
The only question you didn't ask him, and we always ask every guest, I feel like, who's the GOAT? The NFL GOAT.
NFL GOAT?
Yes.
I think the difference between NFL and NBA is if there is a sport where it's by positions, I think it's NFL and MLB, right? Because if NFL, you say the GOAT, what? Quarterback? I mean, it's Brady. No questions about it. Right?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Him and I go back.
Who does he like, though? Peyton or is it Denver Broncos?
Joe Montana.
I don't know about
Not
that.
better than Brady.
I don't.
Brady had he had no line.
Yeah.
Got crushed. And
I'm gonna
just threw a ball like you wouldn't believe.
I'm not prepared for it, but I'm gonna get my facts and show you defenses and all the different stuff that Brady had that month.
Yeah.
So.
Well, look, I would say quarterback is him. You know, if you go receiver, it's probably going to be a Randy Moss. If you go to, running back, you got a lot of options there. You know, some are going to say Walter Payton, but you got to put Barry Sanders there because he retired. Adrian Peterson. There's a lot of guys there, but quarterback,
Gotta be Brady.
It's the guy. And by the way, I never grew up being a Patriots guy. I was not. But the more and more, I rented out the Foxborough Stadium, and I took my guys there, and we watched the entire Man in the Arena for 2 days straight. And then we brought Patriot players and his manager for our guys to ask him any questions for 2 or 3 hours. It was the most incredible experience.
That's awesome.
Where, hey, one was from first generation Brady, the other one was from second generation. So the first 10 years versus the second, how different was he? What was it like? It was a great experience. The more you learn about this guy, the more you fall in love with the guy.
He's hanging out down here now.
Yeah, he is.
Here, so.
Yeah,
I read his book. I just know that one pass I saw at the end of the season looked exactly like the pass in 2008, and he got hit.
Yeah, he's a stud. He's one of a kind.
But thank you for your time, Pat. I know you're busy, man.
I really enjoyed it.
I'd love to see you again.
I appreciate it.
If you don't have time to come in, I'll do it on Zoom. Do you have any tips for Zoom? I don't know how we can go to outer space and all this other stuff, but
When interviewing guests,
yeah,
do you do it or you're not doing it?
I've come to do it on Zoom here and there when they can't
Just
fly.
their
in.
internet connection sucks a lot of the
Yeah.
That's the problem on the other side. So what we did is when that was happening, we did a prep with them a week before. So their guy, so it's typically if you're going to interview somebody that is from their house, you do with their son or their daughter or their wife or their assistant. And he said, can we get a prep meeting just to test out the internet? So he does a prep with them a week before you're live. And you say, okay, can you change this? Can you turn on the light? Can you turn that? Can you make sure, is he going to be sitting here?
Yep.
He's not, because you can't say it because it's the guest.
Yeah.
But he can say that with the other person, and then you're like, well, the internet's going to be like, so, yeah, it's not going to work yet. Can we do it in a different place? Does he have access to a conference room? Can he do it in a work or something like that? So the more you do upfront preparation, less of a headache you're going to have with the internet.
That's excellent, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Enjoyed it, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you for
Had a
having me.
great
This was
time.
great.
Thank you. This is brought to you by Monster Energy. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet, Monster Energy. It's the ideal combo of the right ingredients in the right proportion to deliver a big bad buzz that only Monster can. Monster packs a powerful punch, has a smooth, easy drinking flavor. Athletes, musicians, co-eds, road warriors, metalheads, geeks, hipsters, and bikers dig it. You will too. Monster Energy is more than just the green OG. Monster has Monster Ultra, Juice Monster, Monster Hydro, Rehab Monster, Dragon Tea, Monster Max, Muscle Monster, and many more. Buy on Amazon, buy on Walmart, or go to monsterenergy.com and believe me, you'll find a place. Unleash the beast. Monster Energy.